4 जाणां भुरगीं एकाच गर्भांत आसली तांकां सेफली डिलिव्हरी करून आवय भुरग्याक तुमी राखून व्हेल्ली सो ते एक एक्सपिरियन्स कशें आसलें?
In Mangalore, in the last 25-30 years, it's not happened. Pregnancy most smooth natali, trending life, having children, the trend change ate asa. A lot of couples don't want children.
Correct.
And then suddenly later in rise realize na amka bugi जायचे.
काजर जाऊन चिंता तट्टी मुशे राखून रावतात करियरान सेटल जायचे आनी पुरा म्हणून सांगून काने सांगू कशें येतात मॅम?
आमकां आतां भुरगीं जायचे, आमकां फॅमिली जायचे, दोगां भुरगीं, तेका भुरगीं जायचे. We have a plan म्हूण आसा जाल्यार to time and plan everything.
Correct.
Sometimes it's difficult. जर आतां कालें करतात because we have Google. आमचे कडेन स्कॅनिंग ॲक्सेस आसा.
Correct.
स्कॅन करून येताना डॉक्टर I've been diagnosed with PCOD म्हणटात. So that is something that really pains me. आमी आमचे बॉडीक डायग्नोज करूंक ट्राय करता, but ते प्रॉब्लेम काले कायला म्हूण आमी पळोवंक वचना.
खंयच्या एजीचेर आमी भुरग्यां कडेन मुक्त उलोवंक स्टार्ट करचे आनी तुमी काले सांगूंक कशें येतात?
बायल मनशां जावन आमी चेडवांक सांगिचें म्हणून कांय ना. चेडांकी सांगिचें पडटा. अरे जो म्हाका चेडे म्हाका ते एक सांगूंक ना. पिरियडा विशयान सांगूंक ना. चेडांक आमी बायल मनशाक रेस्पेक्ट दिवंक शिकयचें जाल्यार ल्हान प्रायतानूच शिकयचें.
करेक्ट.
सो तांकां ते शिकयचें की periods are not dirty. Sex education we don't talk about. The S word is not spoken.
Right.
The P word is not spoken because it is a taboo. आमचे कल्चर तशें जावन आयला. It may be good, it may be bad. There may be reasons why आमी ते openly उलयना. But I think it's time to talk. Even the best of schools have this term called sex education, but they don't really talk about that. कोणाक regularly 28 to 30 day cycles जाता. Periodचे flow sama आसा. तांणी overweight नांत. Regular body weight आसात. They can follow natural family planning. The problem is इतले पुरो criteria fulfill करची जाणा उणी आसात. Pregnancy जावन एक जीव काडचे की मागीर it is better to take precaution.
सदनाची जिनी कार्मेल कॅफे हफ्ते केकानी सदनाची जिनी कार्मेल कॅफे कार्मेल कॅफे a sip from the cup of life.
कार्मेल कॅफेच्या सर्वेक्षकांक म्हजो प्रणाम. हांव तुमची होस्ट लिझा रॉड्रिगज. आज म्हजे सांगात आजची सेरी म्हाका पर्सनली मस्त मोगाची. ती कोडयाळांतली एक फामाद डाक्टर मात्र न्ही, एक बऱ्या व्यक्तित्वाची मनीस. सडावत कोडयाळच्या स्त्रियांक तिची वळख खंडीत जावनी आसा. ती आसा डॉक्टर जॉयलेन डाल्मेडा. OBG गायनो जावन फादर मुला हॉस्पिटलांत तिची सेवा दिवनच आसा. कोडयाळांत बारीच फामाद डाक्टर न्ही ती. येया आज तिचे लागीं आमी उलया. सो डॉक्टर जॉयलेन आमच्या समेस्त वीक्षकांतर्फेन आमच्या टीमातर्फेन तुमकां ह्या शोक हांव स्वागत म्हणटा.
थँक्यू लीजा.
कशें आसात?
तुमी कशें आसा?
हांव बरी आसा डॉक्टर. सो तुमकां हांवें 9 म्हयन्या आदीं एप्रोच केल्ले. त्या वेळार तुमी न्यूयॉर्केच्यान प्लॅनर आसल्यात म्हणजे तुमचे दुवेचे एक इंटरनॅशनल कॉम्पिटिशन आसा जाचे विशीं आमी मागीर उलया. तशें म्हणटा आसतना आज भरती 9 म्हयने उपरांत हो एक एपिसोड डिलिव्हरी करचे जाली एक भाग आमकां मेळ्ळा. सो थँक्यू फॉर कमिंग. म्हणल्यार तुमचे शेड्यूल इतले बिझी आसता. तुमी डॉक्टर, तुमचो नवरो डॉक्टर विवियन अल्मेडा, ऑर्थो तोय डॉक्टर, अशें तुमी दोगांय डॉक्टर म्हणटा आसतना एमर्जन्सी केदाळे तुमच्या लायफान येवनच आसता. हे तुमी कशें हँडल करता डॉक्टर?
So first of all, देवाचे बेस हांव. That's the most important thing. ते सोडून we have a very very closely knit and a very supportive family. So आमची घरा असली mainly right now my mother-in-law and father-in-law and my parents, my children, everybody is sort of सगळी अडॅप्ट जाल्यात आमच्या स्केड्युलाक अँड वी हॅव अ लॉट ऑफ सपोर्ट. सो एस्पेशली माय मदर लॉ आमच्या भुरग्यांक नर्चर करचें आनी ग्रो केलां तिणेंत आय हॅव अ लॉट ऑफ सपोर्ट फ्रॉम हर अँड कितलें हांवें वॉट एवर आय हॅव अचीव्ड अँड इवन विविन हॅज अचीव्ड वी ओ इट अ लॉट टू देम. कित्याक म्हळ्यार तांचे वन ब्लेसिंग अँड अदर थिंग इज सपोर्ट, फिजिकल अँड इमोशनल सपोर्ट तांणी आमकां दिला. And mainly because they look after our children so well. So that part of our life is completely taken care of, especially by my mother-in-law, Mrs. Morley, and my father-in-law, Mr. William. So they are the major support. And I would say that आमी इतले manage करते आसा, a lot is because of them.
Correct. कित्याक म्हण सांगल्यार कुटुंबांत तावन तुज्या मोगाच्या मनशान ताणें बरो सपोर्ट सिस्टम तुमकां आसा जाल्यार जिणेन काले एचीव करयत म्हणल्यार तुमी आनी तुमचो नवरो ते एक एक्झाम्पल म्हण आमी सांगया. कुडोज टू दॅट. सो हांवें आयज एपिसोड सुरू करचो जाल्यार हांव तुमच्या येता हिस्टॉरिकल मुवमेंटांतल्यान हांव स्टार्ट करता म्हण सांगल्यार हिस्टॉरिकल मुवमेंट हांव काल्याक सांगता की म्हणजे जाल्यार कोडयाळांत एक क्वाड्रप्लेट म्हण सांगल्यार जवळीं गोत्त आसात तेवळीं गोत्त आसात बट 4 जाणां भुरगीं एकाच गर्भांत आसली तांकां सेफली डिलिव्हरी करून आवय भुरग्याक तुमी राखून व्हेल्ली ती एक तुमची कीर्त. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कॉंग्रॅच्युलेशन्स फॉर दॅट. सगळ्या पेपरांनी ते हांगासर मार्क कडेन हांवें वाचले. सो ती एक जर्नी म्हाका शेअर करता गे डॉक्टर. म्हळ्यार ती तुमी पयलें तावनी केस मॉनिटर करना आल्यात गे डिलिव्हरी खातीर मात तुमचे कशें आयिल्ली गे. सो ते एक एक्सपिरियन्स कशें आसलें म्हाका सांगतात की.
सो तांणी एक कपल actually they are my patients for many years. So even before she became pregnant he mujhe येऊनच आसली. A very nice, very sweet couple. The husband works for the railways. The wife in fact I should tell you that of course I have to start from the beginning. But right now तिका 4 भुरगीं आसात.
Uh-huh.
She delivered in November, so they're approximately like 7-8 months आता. 7-8 monthsची 4 भुरगीं ती घरा पळोवन she's right now giving her nursing exams. And I just met her last week and I was so inspired because it's completely not easy. So ताणी म्हजे कडेन येवन आसली for different gynecological reasons. They are my patients. आणि तिका first scanning करताना 4 भुरगीं आसा म्हण कळली.
Okay.
That's how we come to
Natural pregnancy.
Natural pregnancy. So the reason why these quadruplets are most special कित्याक म्हळ्यार in Mangalore in the last 25-30 years it's not happened.
Correct.
Second thing is the fertility treatment can't घेवन जाल्ली न्ही. So आता आमकां quadruplets आणि triplets मस्त पळोवंक मेळटात, mainly because a lot of people go for fertility treatment.
IVF आतावना न्ही.
But in her case it was a spontaneous pregnancy, which made it even more special. And तिका quadruplet pregnancy आसतना, like I've mentioned in a lot of interviews before, आमी ते प्रेग्नन्सी कंटिन्यू करया म्हणटा. अँड देन आमी पेशंटाक चॉयस दिता. देर आर सर्टन प्रोसिजर्स कॉल्ड फिटल रिडक्शन. थोड्या जाणांक 4 भुरगीं 5 भुरगीं आसल्यार आमी ते मेडिकली वी हॅव टू गिव देम दी ऑप्शन की तुमकां जाय जाल्यार 1-2 भुरगीं तुमी उणें करी येता. But that patient was very strong and she said, no madam, I don't want to reduce it. And we never pushed, like we just gave the order that there is something like this.
Option asa,
because medically आमी दिजे पडटा. But she was very firm in her belief and ताणे म्हणलें की I want to continue this. And then we said, okay, so if we have your consent, we will go ahead. But these are the problems that may come across. So a lot of ups and downs. Pregnancy most smooth natali.
High risk pregnancy
and as it is twin pregnancies, there are a lot of complications and problems that can happen, the quadruplets and all the more. But she was very, very strong. So that couple was inspiring to me, not just after she delivered, but even while they were pregnant. And I hope if they are watching this for some reason, Tani, I mean, they would know this. I have mentioned this to them many times. Ki ek Tani devan mustupate ni dorli. So even though I mean medical science, medicine, pura munta, God's blessings, and that is really, really important. And tani te faith don't tani mukad gelli. So that was one of the things that held her on. Ani kale malara the spousal support. So how the husband supported the wife. I still remember we had kept her in hospital for almost a month towards the end because she was not able to carry the weight. And we were worried because she had a previous cesarean scar. So she had a lot of problems. So we had kept her in hospital with our monitoring. And I must also say that we had a very beautiful team at Father Muller's Medical College, the pediatric and the gynecology team, my entire team of doctors and friends who supported her when she was there. I remember there is one particular day where, she was inside and he was standing outside with the baby. And I told this to a lot of my colleagues over there. And I said, why are you standing outside? She's inside, why are you standing outside? He said, no, I thought I'll give her a little bit of a break. She wants to watch a movie. So he took the elder child and waited outside so that she gets that because of staying in the hospital for a month. So that, and once he was holding a tiffin box and going inside. And I asked him, what are you doing? And he said, I've made this thing, bitter gourd vegetable for her because someone told me that it's good. So in those situations, the husband cooking and bringing to the wife, and I mean, it's not very commonly heard of. It should be done. So for that couple, spousal support, how they were supporting each other, and the fact that they kept a lot of faith in God and they went on till the end is what helped them. And in a lot of ways, they were inspiring to a lot of people who came in touch with them, the doctors, the nurses, whoever met them. Tanka tani mosto inspire kela. So in many, many ways, tani mosto inspire kela.
Okay. So तुम्ही त्या couple विषयी म्हाका सांगले, ताचे challenges तुम्ही काले म्हणून सांगले. As a doctor, as a team of doctors, तुमकां ते delivery करूंक वा ती case सगळे handle करूंक तुमचे कले पर challenges आसले.
So first and foremost, या टायपाचे cases, खंयचे टायपाचे complicated cases आमी handle करताना, the most important thing is teamwork. So आमची एक बरी team आसली and everybody was starting आतां सगळी prepare जावन आसली. अशे couple आसा and then they have quadruplets, आमी ते prepare जायचे. So starting from everything with counseling the couple आणि pediatric care, timely delivery. So it was a complicated cesarean because तिका पयले cesarean असो गाय आसलो. And the delivery happened at midnight. So Modeh Rati, we had to arrange for 4 babies. And we had 4 sets of pediatricians. We had a whole team of gynecologists who were helping me in that cesarean section. The operation theatre staff, at Father Muller's. Our labor OT staff, everybody came, even though there are only 2 or 3 people at night at regular shifts, extra number of people आयिल्ली, and everything was very well handled. So it was the first and foremost thing आमी सांगितले जाल्यार teamwork.
म्हळ्यार आतां चडावत कान जाता आतां आमची आतां सिंगल प्रेग्नन्सी जाल्यार कंप्लीट 9 months कॅरी करया कित्याक म्हणून जाल्यार एक भुरगें 3 kg मुशेर वेता आनी नॉर्मल डिलिव्हरी खातीर चडावत भुरगें 3 to 3.5 kg म्हळ्यार हेल्दी नॉर्मल प्रेग्नन्सी आमी सांगचें जाल्यार जवळ्याक येता आसतना कान जाता चडावत ते फूल टर्म कॅरी करूंक जायना आनी भुरग्यांची वेट कित्याक तातूं आमचें म्हळ्यार जागो उणो आसता जाल्ल्यान आनी भुरग्यांची ग्रोथ कंप्लीट जायना हांगासर इट्स अ क्वाड्रप्लेट म्हळ्यार 4 भुरगीं एका गर्भांत आसता आसतना इट इज अ व्हेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सिट्युएशन म्हळ्यार भुरग्यांची ग्रोथ आसना जावंक पुरो डिलिव्हरी करतना जाल्यार 4 भुरग्यांक एकतपडी भायर काडटना सिझेरियन करून काडटा आसतना काही मुणी कालमणी मिस हॅप जावचे चान्स आसूंक पुरो इट वॉज नॉट एट ऑल अ इझी थिंग सो ताका फूल टर्म ताणें कॅरी केलें गी वा कितल्या म्हयन्यांनी तें बाळान जालें म्हळ्यार प्री टर्म ताका ये आयलें गी म्हळ्यार तुमी इंड्यूस करचें पडलें गी वा लायक म्हळ्यार सिन्स इट वॉज सिझेरियन इट वॉज अ प्लॅन्ड वन So ताचे विशयी म्हाका इल्लें सांगतात गी
So the thing is, what happens is full term 9-month singleton pregnancy जाल्यार single pregnancy जाल्यार it goes up to 40 weeks.
Okay.
If it's a twin, दोगां आसा जाल्यार that 9 months for us ends at 34 to 36 weeks.
Yeah.
So in quadruplets, we were estimating 30 to 32 weeks. But usually what happens, quadruplets anta, it sort of like always by 26 weeks, 28 weeks the patients deliver. And baby there like extreme prematurity, not just prematurity, extreme prematurity kata. So we were very anxious about that. And so what we did is, the ek puri 26, 28 weeks pauta na, we kept her in the hospital. And they also obliged. They got a little bit of help as well. So everything worked out. And in 26, 28 weeks ata, tikami dorle. And by God's grace, we got to stretch till 30, 31 weeks. Wow. Which is almost full term for a quadruplet.
Okay.
So that was also a blessing that we had. Everything worked in our favor, starting from blessings to the couple's faith in us and the whole teamwork. And of course, anxiety asali, because with any high risk case when we handle, we have that stress. But we have to take that faith and the leap of faith.
Yeah, right.
We can't get yes. So that was the thing. So she was in hospital for a month. And 30-31 weeks atana, she went into labor.
Okay.
Which is why we did it in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Nazala, usually high risk pregnancies we plan in the daytime.
Daytime, correct.
So that was the thing. So
yes.
she
so
went
ताका आमी congrats म्हणटा आसतना डॉक्टर आमी आमची कॉफी चियर्स करया गी तुमच्या सक्सेसा खातीर yes so how you like our coffee just let me know.
It's super yum. Thank you.
तशें तुमच्या लायफाची एक सक्सेसफूल जर्नी तुमी सांगली सो आमी पाटी वचन जाल्यार तुमी एक डॉक्टर जावंक कित्याक म्हणल्यार सडावत डॉक्टर जाय जे म्हणून सांगल्यार तितलें डिटर्मिनेशन आसचें पडटा शिकोवंक मुस्त आसता सो तुमकां डॉक्टर जावंक तुमच्या लायफाक इन्स्पिरेशन कोण ताची एक जर्नी म्हाका सांगतात गी डॉक्टर.
My main inspiration in my life is my mother.
Okay.
In a lot of things, my dad too. But medical akawache, it's my mom. Although it was my dad's wish. Actually, Dr. Zhang Natali. I was all destined to become an engineer, and I was supposed to move to Australia. So I was supposed to be in a totally different world.
काय आता काही रिझन आसा गी?
Daddy, I think like most Mangalorean parents, भुरगीं Dr. Zaije Muneko. I'm the first daughter, the only daughter, first child. So केदाले आसलें तें सो ते ल्हान ते सांगता डॉक्टर जायजे बट फॉर माय डॅड टेक तर ऑब्सेशन आसलें म्हणजे तूं डॉक्टर जायजे म्हणून बट इवन देन आय वॉज नॉट व्हेरी शुअर आफ्टर 12th आसतना वी आर युजली लायक करीजे म्हणून सो देन आय वॉन्टेड टू माय मेन थिंग वॉज आय वॉन्टेड टू ट्रॅव्हल सो हांवें चिंतलें इंजिनियरींग वूड बी अ गुड ब्रांच इन दोज टर्म्स बट देन जस्ट when I was supposed to get my admission and I have a lot of relatives in Australia like I have almost 3 generations of family there close family first degree family. So I thought I'll move around and that would be a better thing for me. But then at the last moment I remember mujhe almost admission down. I was going to apply. I applied to the university. I cleared some very difficult exams.
Oh, okay.
And now they joined them. My dad said, but I always wanted you to be a doctor. So that moment I was okay, like ultimately our parents sacrifice everything for us.
Correct.
And living by what they say probably will give us a bigger goal in life.
Correct.
So tashe ave magero I decided to do medicine and I completely changed my approach. That was so the reason I took up medicine would be my father, but my inspiration to move on, especially to take up gynecology, is my mother.
Okay.
Because my mother was a nursing midwife in the Gulf for almost 40 years. So I have been seeing gynecology wards, meeting gynecologists. I have met the gynecologist who has delivered me much later in life also, like for a long period.
Okay.
So I remember she was a midwife. She used to work in a maternity hospital in the Gulf where I was born and brought up. I used to like enter the maternity ward and see the babies and all that. But even though she is my inspiration and she's the reason why I chose this branch, and I used to love science and medicine because of her.
Okay.
Because even though she was in the nursing field, she would still go to the medical library. She would read medical books.
Wow.
She would bring medical books home, and that was something that I used to feel that was a normal part of life.
Okay.
So even I would love that because of her. I would love that, and that's why medicine came to me a little more naturally, not with my heart. So engineering was more with my brain, and medicine was more with my heart.
Okay.
And the gynecology field was that silly. So somewhere at the back of my head, that was something that I felt was, oh, this is nice.
Nice.
You know, one is seeing women and not have to see men most of the time.
Okay.
And the other thing is dealing. So my husband, if he watches this, he'll say I'm a big feminist.
Okay.
Which I'm not, but yeah, I have a soft spot for women all the time.
Okay.
So I felt that, you know, that art of bringing a baby and treating a mother, new life into the world, all those concepts I used to feel are very nice. I used to envy my mother because she would come home very happy. On a date, like maybe twins deliveries, she would come home and we would see that glow on her face. Mummy hospital But also the same thing, if something happened bad in the hospital, like a baby was lost, grief, even that we would get to see. So both ways, but my mother has been my inspiration and she still continues to be. She's a very, very strong woman. She's extremely a mild person. If you see me, I'm dead opposite my mother. I think I'm more like my father.
Okay.
But she is like, I think she's an inspiration for a lot of people, especially for me.
तशें म्हणटा आसतना डॉक्टर आता तुम्ही ते MBBS करतात, MBBS उपरांत OBG गायनो MD करतात. सो त्या जर्नी ताका स्टुडंट लायफान तुमकां उडास अशें जालें काले आसा गी. सो त्या जर्नींत काही कस्ट जावन थोडे पटी सोडिया म्हणून बोगले आसा गी.
So I think आमचे generation LEEZA, I think you would agree. I think ते एक पुडी काले आमी कान गेले सोडचे आमकां ऑप्शन ना. I think our children are more blessed with that. तांकां चूज करी येतं काले जाय म्हणून. I think our parents had brought it up in our way that आमी एक पुडी काले म्हणी धरल्यार ते आमी कशे म्हणी ते करीजेत, and we have to come to the end, which is a very good habit. I think as parents nowadays आमी आमच्या भुरग्यांक तेंच शिकयजे. We should give them options, but we should say that आमी तुम्ही एक पुडी धरले ते तुम्ही केदाले finish करीजे. So medicine was something that I liked, and it was not a lot of students nowadays exams atana or when they go for entrance coaching, they take what is available to them, because mustu, I mean, une seats astat ani mustu jana astat, many people are applying. In those days probably title aiche bari title competition nattille. So we had a choice ki ami amka काय like asa ताका आमी हार्ड वर्क कर आमी ते अचीव करी येतो. A lot of people work very hard now. थोडे पडी तांकां ते मेळना कित्याक म्हळ्यार ऑप्शन्स उणे आसात. So the question of leaving or was never there, because म्हाका medicine जाय जालें, I wanted science and my dad wanted me to do this. So all the way I had all the motivation, and once I entered the branch I liked it because I wanted to do medicine all the way. Student life was a completely new universe. कित्याक म्हळ्यार हांगा of course आतां आमची भुरगीं घरा आसतना we look after them in a particular way. In the Gulf, and for those of us who have been Gulf children, we're little more closed environment. Most protection asta in the sense that हांगाचे बरी तितले socializing or social gatherings or mixing out with people amka asana. So our parents are very, very protective. So they protection environment athon, my parents actually let me go. I don't know whether I will let my children go because I'm a little more conservative, but my parents were very bold and they had a lot of faith, so they let us go and bring out to the outer environment where amka pura exposure milne. So my student life here was exactly after my +2. So it was like a mustu exposure. I met people from different places. I learned a lot as it is. I learned how to stay independently, how to handle my work by myself, which of course in the house amka kama nikorung astali. We had a very disciplined life, but nothing like staying in a hostel, staying in a hostel and living independently, handling your own money. That is something that I think har ek a parent and bhuryang dije. That experience of staying in the hostel and living alone and handling your things. I don't know whether I'll be able to do that yet because my kids are still small, but something that I want them to have in the future is take 4 years such a hostel experience, so living away from your family and yet knowing that they are there somewhere and handling your amche itlakata amche ami handle karije. So that is one thing that I met friends who are my friends for life. And I still talk to them every day, my MBBS friends, and that is another big blessing that I found. I found friends that I will have for life. So other than that, of course, the learning experience, we learn every day. When we're doing medicine.
Okay, so that is beautiful. तशें म्हणटा आसतना तुमच्या पर्सनल लायफाचे क्लास सवाल आतां मागीर आमी आमचे प्रोफेशनल क्वेश्चनांक म्हणून सांगल्यार तुमकां हांवें हांगा आपयल्लें, तुमी एक OBG गायनो तशें जाल्यार आमची थोडी तुमचे प्रोफेशनल सवालां म्हजे कडेन आसात. ताका हेच्या पयलीं तुमच्या नवऱ्या विशयांत, तुमच्या आतांच्या फॅमिली विशयांत म्हाका इल्लें सांगतात की म्हळ्यार तुमी कशें भेटल्यात, तुमचे काजर कशें जालें, सो त्या लाईफ तुमच्या फॅमिली लाईफा विशयन म्हाका इल्लें सांगता गिरो.
So my husband is Dr. Vivian DALMEIDA. I think everybody knows him
Yes.
before they know me as well. He
Okay.
doesn't need any introduction.
Okay.
But I met him when I was doing my internship,
Okay.
and he was doing his orthopedic post-graduation. He's completed from St. John's Medical College.
Okay.
So when he came to Father Muller's as a postgraduate, I mean, a lot of people know him now as well.
Yes.
But he was a very hot catch. Everybody,
okay.
he had a lot of fan following.
Uh-huh.
But he was his own, even just as he is now.
Uh-huh.
He would be very humble and in his own tajan kaam karna so. He wouldn't really, like sort of, not very outgoing, very academic and into his studies, into his work and all that. And he was into orthopedics. So that's how I met him, because he was a very popular figure.
Okay.
So everybody wanted to be wanted to speak to him.
Okay.
And wanted to be around him.
Okay.
And then we sort of like hit it on. The main reason Mustu Vegi jail zalya was because we have a lot of common family, like I said, in Australia.
Okay.
So we realized later that his aunt and my aunt, his dad's sister and my dad's sister are best friends.
Okay.
And they have the same name in Australia. They are very close to each other. And that's how we met.
Okay.
So, and then we just went on. We did not initially decide on getting married too soon. But I must say that again, my mother-in-law, his mom was one of the main people who I interacted with, and I felt that we were like a peg and a hole. We fit with each other immediately, or unlike poles of a magnet, we attracted to each other immediately. So she was, a part of our. Usually mothers-in-laws or mums are not, but a part of our relationship. Mom has been a very integral part. So even in those days, meltana. So we were, our families met a lot in the more conservative approach. Sangeeta, amche family is first milni, and that's how we met each other.
Okay.
And we got to know each other over a period of time. Our medicine was happening at the side by side. So he was doing his orthopedics. I did my MBBS, I did my entrance, and then I decided. So he was also an important part in me choosing gynecology and in my entrance preparation and all that. And then then we just went on. So my medicine and Mangalore came to me as maybe my dad's gift, I would say.
Okay.
And then once I entered Mangalore, everything went on. Gynecology happened, marriage happened, my children happened. Our family grew.
Yes.
So everything happened.
सो तुमकां आतां सुबी ते कुटाम आसा दोगां वंडरफुल दोगां चेडवां भुरगीं आसात. सो व्हडलें सॅर आतां इंटरव्यू थोड्याच टायम आदी आमच्या कार्मेल किरणाचेर आमी गेल्लो कित्याक न्यूयॉर्काक वचून शी वॉज अ सिंगींग स्टार दे. सो ताची जर्नी इल्लीशी तुमच्या भुरग्यां विशीं दिलें म्हाका सांगतात गी म्हणल्यार तुमच्या सॅराची ताचे एचिवमेंट्स आनी कित्याक म्हणटा ताचे विशीं मुस्त हांवें आयकलां दोगांय तुमी बरी भुरगीं तुमची दोगांय सिंग करतात. धाकटो चेडवो आसा तो कुमगार जालो. सो ताचे विशीं म्हाका इल्लें सांगतात गी मॅम.
So we have two children, Dr. Vivian and I, and the elder one is Angela, and she's 12 years old. Suzanne is 10 years. And musical journey actually rightly began during COVID. So though COVID had a lot of nice things happening, it was a blessing for me and for my children in disguise that we realized their musical talents at that time.
Okay.
Because we were at home and we were like, okay, आता काली करचे, काली मी productive करिया म्हणता ना. We picked up music. My mother-in-law is a musician. She's in fact the only musical person in our family. Organ keltale. She's been in the church choir for many years. Very popular figure at that. So tine first piano introduced kelne mujhe bhagyanka. And then during the COVID years, they were small. I think Angela was 6 and Suzanne was 4. And आम्ही त्याला piano introduce केलं. And then while we were doing that, so both of them started formal piano training. They still take, so Angela is more into singing and Suzanne is still doing यानी कि piano करते आसा था. And her teacher is from Bangalore. His name is Gautam Shenoy. So यानी कि piano formal training करता. She'll be giving her grade 5 exam soon. Angela na singing pick केलं. And what happened in those days was there is when she's still there, Mrs. Tanisha Herbert म्हणून. She's few of India's most popular opera singers. So तिची एक academy has Bangalore and through her uncle, that is Vivian's brother Alan, we found her. And they are a very reputed institute. So they don't take students इतले easily can't get answer. And they pick up the right students. So they picked up Angela. And then from then on, Angela's talent and interest in singing also nutalle. And when she turned 9, the competition wins zalle. That's IYMC New York म्हणून. And आमकां ते आपयलें मागीर perform करूंक. So in September, last year, Angela also she performed. In between, she's done a TED talk. So ताका एक TED talk की invite केलं Father Muller's. So she's done that. And Mustupurati, as in their own space, with God's blessings, आणि करणं तासात. Suzanne plays the piano. She also likes to sing. दोघांय इगर्जीचे choir आणि तासात.
Wow, nice.
So they actively and happily take part in the choir. Piano Suzanne play करता, Angela sing करता. So that has been their musical journey.
ओके सो चडावत मामा आमच्या कुटुंबांनी हांवें पळयलें हांवें ऑब्जर्व केलें तरी एक सिट्युएशन खाली गे म्हणून सांगल्यार आवय बापाय केदाळी इल्लेशे फेमस आसतात म्हणून सांगल्यार एका फिल्डान आसतना तुमी दोगांय डॉक्टर्स मस्त बिजी आसची मनशां म्हणटा आसतना चडावो सांगचें आसता आवय बापाय दोगांय बिजी आसतात भुरग्यांक दिवंक टायम ना वा भुरग्यां सांगाता तांची एक जर्नी आमच्या बरीच आमच्या भुरग्यांनी कित्याक म्हणल्यार चडावो तुमी पळय डॉक्टर्स फॅमिली आवय डॉक्टर बापाय डॉक्टर जावय डॉक्टर भुरगीं डॉक्टर सगळे फॅमिली ते डॉक्टर जाता बरो नासतात बट तुमच्या एका जिणेंत तुमी म्हणा ती भुरगीं ल्हान जाल्यार तांकां एक म्युजिकाची तांची एक इंट्रस्ट पळोवन तांच्या फिल्डान तांकां मुखार वचून तुमी कंप्लिटली सपोर्ट करनासात सो ह्या एका सिट्युएशन सांगता आसतना आमच्या पेरंट्सांक हाचे वेळी तुमी काले सांगूंक कशे येतात
So actually, I probably चिंती ना actively, but what I believe is as parents, आमी आतां जल्म दिताना भुरग्यांक हाडटाना संवसारांत it is our job तर आमी तांकां नर्चर करचें आतां जस्ट आमी भुरगीं केलांत म्हणून तांकां जस्ट आतां सगळीं करतात इस्कलाक धाडा काम सुद्दां इट शुडंट बी लायक दॅट आमकां इफ यू हॅव द मिन्स आमी तांकां नर्चर करचें व्हड जावंक आमी सपोर्ट करचें अँड चिल्ड्रन नाव डेज आय थिंक लायक वी हॅड दिस डिस्कशन मोस्ट इंटेलिजंट आसात सो दे नीड दॅट लिटल बीट ऑफ अ पुश टू तांकां कालें करूंक आसा अँड इवेंच्युअली ऑफकोर्स गायडन्स जायचें पडटा वी कॅनॉट लेट देम से दॅट ओके तुमकां काल फील जाता तें करी येता बिकॉज आतांच्या भुरग्यांक एक्सपोजर आनी मस्तू आसा सो देर इज इट कॅन वर्क बोथ वेज बरें जावंक पुरो पाडी जावंक पुरो सो गायडन्स अँड आर कॉन्स्टंट सुपरविजन इज रिक्वायर्ड but I think तांकां तें communication most important. The thing that I like about our family, even when I was small and also more so now in women's family that I've been married into and our family, the grandparents, all of us together is amchi communication.
Correct.
So we have this one meal a day. Ami sagli ottu bosan karta.
Right.
And during that meal we all communicate, we discuss. Right. Ata it has become a part of our life. It's a habit.
Correct.
So we don't realize we're doing it.
Right.
But when I talk to other people or if I happen to visit somebody, then म्हाका कळटा की हे routine नाही आमी करते आसा and I feel that communication of course the whole credit of that we do daily prayers all of that goes to my in-laws the grandparents
right
because tani amka te push dila or we were able to do it because of our schedule sometimes if we had to do this every day amka zate natle konna if we didn't have their support so that one meal where we sit together and we talk and we communicate with our children I think they most important children learn a lot from those 5 minutes so as parents I think communicating with your children tanka kale asa tanche mind and kale zate asa ते आमी इसाचे मस्त बरें and that is really something that is not lacking I would say आता जे वर्ल्ड मस्त फास्ट आसा
करेक्ट
सो बिकॉज ऑफ दॅट इट्स डिफिकल्ट फॉर पेरेंट्स टू मेक टायम बट ते कॉन्शियसली आमी एफर्ट केल्यार दॅट इज समथींग दॅट हॅज रियली हेल्प्ड अस
ओके सो प्रायोरिटायज करचें मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट कित्याक म्हणून सांगल्यार आमचे कडेन पयशे येवंक पुरो नांव येवंक पुरो काले येवंक पुरो बट अल्टिमेटली फॅमिली बरी आसा जाल्यार कित्याक एक कुटुंब बरें जाल्यार सगळो संवसार बरें जाल्यार बरें तशें म्हणटा आसतना डॉक्टर वील कम टू द प्रोफेशनल पार्ट ऑफ इट एज अ ओबीजी गायनी म्हणटा आसतना तुमी मस्त जाणां फिमेल जावंक पळयता तो मस्त प्रॉब्लेम्स ह्या दिसांनी कित्याक म्हणल्यार पयलीं जितली फर्टिलिटी आतां पयलींच्या कुटुंबांनी मस्त भुरगीं आसतालीं आनी सद्याक म्हणल्यार हेल्थी आसतालें बट आतांच्या काळार मस्त नमण्याचे फिजिकल जावन दी इमोशनल जावन दी वा स्ट्रेसच्या दरम्यान जाल्यारय मस्त हॉर्मोनल चेंजीस जावन आतांची चेडवां वा बायल मनशां मस्त कश्ट जातात सो तुमच्या प्रमाणे आमी विचारचें जाल्यार एक सवाल आतांच्या काळार फर्टिलिटी मस्त उणी जाल्या सो वॉट मे बी द रिजन अकॉर्डिंग टू यू बिकॉज यू हॅव सीन इन द फील्ड यू हॅव द एक्सपिरियन्स सो if I ask this
so
question.
there are a lot of things most of things what has changed over the last few years is trend change zala so that concept of early marriage not early marriage but marriage at the right time and having your children at the right time if you're planning a family most it's actually shaken quite a bit कित्याक म्हणार of course we need our careers we need to आमकां आमचे एक पर्सनॅलिटी मेंटेन करूंक एक आमचे एक जॉब प्रोफेशन करियर जायचे but what is happening now is that late marriages जाते आसात it's not I don't know whether it's not easy to find a partner or people adjusting with each other or saying that okay let's spend our lives with each other together kitli easily jate na
correct
so because of that marriages are happening late or marriages are not lasting for very long for whatever the reasons are and all these things so the trend of late marriages is happening late marriages means late conceptions
correct
and tashe जावन we are going in for fertility treatment because the optimal age for having a pregnancy is lost
correct
so आमी इतले मुखार वेते आसा we are going a little fast आणि त्यातला म्हणसर egg qualities sperm qualities all these things are coming down so people are going for more fertility treatment that is one so the trend is changing marriage and spending life having children the trend change जाते आसा a lot of couples don't want children.
करेक्ट.
And then suddenly later in life realize ना आमकां भुरगीं जायचे. So तशें change जाता. So mindset is changing.
करेक्ट.
Anik thing, very very important thing is lifestyle, which everybody knows. It's like the elephant in the room.
Yes.
So food, sleep, and I keep saying this to my patients. So if somebody is listening to this, they will say "Te angai sudu aledi jamun." So it is food, sleep, stress, and exercise.
Right.
So these things are all they're changing constantly.
येस. सो अकॉर्डिंग टू यू म्हळ्यार आदले पडी डॉक्टर शॅरन रस्किन हांगासर आयिल्ली. सो ती म्हाका येत्त विशयाचेर स्ट्रेस करनासली. चडावत म्हणटना सांगता 20 to 30 फॉर अ इंडियन सिनारियो 20 to 30 इज द मोस्ट फर्टायल टायम इन अ वुमन्स लायफ. तशें म्हणटा आसतना आतां काजर जावची ते 30 म्हणसर राखून रावतात, करियरान सेटल जायचे आनी पुरा म्हणून सांगून मागीर भुरगीं जायचे म्हूण सांगल्यार बारीक कश्ट जातात आनी हाचे वरवीं कश्टूंची म्हजींच मस्त जाणां फ्रेंड्सां आसात. सो तुमी एक एक्सपर्ट जावन एका फिल्डांत एक ह्याच्या विशयान आमच्या यंग जनरेशनाक तुमी सजेस्ट करचे जाल्यार कांय सांगूंक शकतात मॅम?
So actually 20 to 30 you said is right, but I think for anybody 20 years of marriage is like too early now.
Too early, correct.
So probably I would say that anywhere between 25 to 28, 29 would be the right age to get married and then plan on a pregnancy. But we've pushed that fertility line from beyond to 30 to at least 32, 33. So it's roughly anywhere between 25 to 32, 33 marriage pregnancies are happening. It's good. तशें म्हणून 34 ओपन प्रेग्नन्सी जायना नाजाल्यार जावन वचो म्हण कांय ना. बट आफ्टर 35 काल जाता म्हणल्यार एक एगाची क्वॉलिटीज उणी जाता.
करेक्ट.
सो द चान्सेस ऑफ यू कन्सिविंग नॅचरली बिकम लेसर एंड थोडे पडी फर्टिलिटी ट्रीटमेंट जायचे पडटा. इट कुड बी टॅबलेट्स, इंजेक्शन्स, IVF, वॉट एवर, बट ट्रीटमेंट जायचे पडटा. आनी एक काल म्हणल्यार आफ्टर 35 मेडिकल कॉम्प्लिकेशन्स इन प्रेग्नन्सी,
करेक्ट,
लायक डायबिटीज, हायपरटेन्शन, ते इल्ले सरता.
ओके.
So a younger pregnant mother is more safe against medical problems as compared to an older pregnant mother. Medical problems. And the third thing is genetic problems.
Correct.
So pregnancy zalari after 34, 35, genetic testing intensely vi karije patta. Problems, Down syndrome bari problems ani para sort jata tha. So to avoid that, getting if a person has a plan, amka da burgi zaije, amka family zaije, doga burgi, tega burgi zaije, we have a plan mun asa zalara to time and plan everything.
Correct.
Sometimes it's difficult. So ata ek nove trend suru jana LEEZA, it's called social freezing.
Right.
And every day I have patients who come and ask me. So most of the time they're not able to find the right life partner.
Right.
And just because you cannot get married.
Correct.
So they go to undergo fertility treatment and eggs store kartat, cryopreserve karna. When they meet a partner, magira ille what's maybe 40 years atana, they plan a pregnancy. Okay. With those eggs through an IVF. So that is a trend which is atate pikonzala musto. Okay. But that again, I mean, as a doctor I cannot judge. हमें सांगू जायना की तुम्ही wrong, तुम्ही right. Because as a woman, I should understand that a woman needs her career. Correct. She needs her own to set her foot and say that मुझे ये काम मुझे. Just to तुम्ही काजर जायचे म्हणून you can't get married to somebody. Correct. I don't agree with that. Correct. Because you have to live your life with that person. Right. You have to bring up a child with that person. Right. So it is a responsibility. Correct. And you have to find the right person. Correct. So wrong म्हणूंक जायना, but it is sad that आता अशें जाते आसा कित्याक म्हळ्यार pregnancies are happening late, medical complications in pregnancy are more, lot of genetic testing आमी आतां कितलें करता. Like even as old as, I mean, even my children are like 12 and 10. When I had my children, I did not do genetic tests when I had my children. But right now I'm doing twice or thrice the number of tests for most patients. Correct. Because most people are coming in that age bracket. Correct. Where they're coming in their 30s. Right. So I'm testing karijat patta. So that way the trend has changed. And if I had to advise people, I would say that, try to have your children early if you want to have a child. Naturally. But when I say that, I cannot say that just get married. I cannot say get married fast. Yeah. Because they should find the right partner. Yeah. So right partner म्हणटा आसतना हांगासर एक रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आमच्या पेरेंट्सा वेरी आसात कित्याक आमची भुरगीं आतां ल्हान जावंक पुरो बट इफ एट ऑल वी ब्रिंग अप आवर चिल्ड्रन इन अ गुड वे म्हळ्यार सोशली जावन तांकां रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आमी दिवन तांकां एक बरीं भुरगीं जर वाडयलीं जाल्यार मुखार वचून ती कोणाकी लायफ पार्टनर जाता तांकां बरें लायफ दिवंक चान्स जाता म्हणटा आसतना आमच्या पेरेंट्सा वयर आतां जे यंग जनरेशन जावन दी आतां जे पेरेंट्स कोणी हांगासर तुमी पळोवन आसात जाल्यार एक पेरंट म्हणटा आसतना इट इज अ बिगेस्ट रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कित्याक ती एक आवे आमी बसले हांगा तशें म्हणटा आसतना देखून आमच्या कुटुंबांक आमी पयली प्रायोरिटी दिवया उरलें पुरा मागीर येता कित्याक डॉक्टर तेच्या लायफांत कितली बिजी आसूं दी कुटुंबाक तिणें पयली प्रायोरिटी दिल्या म्हणून हांगासर सांगूंक कशें येता. सो डॉक्टर तुमी म्हाका सांगलें सोशल फ्रीजिंग म्हणून सांगलें आनी एक लेट प्रेग्नन्सींत तुमी सांगलें डावन सिंड्रोमाचे प्रॉब्लेम आसतात कित्याक जेनेटीक टेस्टिंग आतां चड जावन आसा म्हणून सांगून थोडे पटी काम जाता टेस्टिंग करता आसतना स्कॅनिंगार जावन ते थोडे पटी आमकां भुरगीं तितलें नॉर्मल जावन वाडून येना म्हणून आतांचे म्हळ्यार एक कळटा ते चडावत जावन. सो अशे संदर्भार पेरंट्स थोडे पटी कालें करता ते ऑप्ट फॉर टर्मिनेशन. Again, as a medical professional, you cannot judge because it is your job, you have to do it, you have to suggest them.
आता हांवें थोडे कडेन केसीस पळयला आतां डॉक्टरांनी म्हळ्यार टेस्ट करता आसतना दे हॅव टोल्ड देम टू गो फॉर एन एबॉर्शन वा मेडिकली टर्मिनेट करून कित्याक म्हळ्यार भुरग्याक अशें कॉम्प्लिकेशन आसा म्हणून सजेस्ट केल्लें आसा बट थोडे फावटी पेरंट्सांनी कालें केलां ना आमी टर्मिनेट करना म्हणून तांणी दवरलां भुरगें आनी जल्मत आसतना ते भुरगे नॉर्मल जावन जल्मले सुमार केसीस आसात सो हें टेस्टींग कितले % एक्युरेट आसता आनी ताचे वयर बेज जावन त्या भुरग्याक टर्मिनेट करूंक म्हूण सांगून डिसिशन काडोवचें कितलें करेक्ट हाचे विशयान तुमी एज एन एक्सपर्ट कालें सांगूंक कशें येतात
LEEZA ते actually is a very broad topic. हांवें एक सांगितलें जाल्यार all gynecologists don't practice termination.
ओके
So I don't practice termination
Yes.
Because of my own personal, my religious reasons.
करेक्ट
But termination of pregnancy is a part of the gynecology curriculum.
Correct.
There is a section where the doctor is supposed to practice termination, and they do it. But me and a lot of my Catholic or Christian colleagues don't do it for our own personal reasons.
करेक्ट
ते आमचे एक पर्सनल कमिटमेंट टू आवर वर्क दॅट वी
Correct.
विल नॉट टर्मिनेट एनीथिंग विच हॅज अ लायफ
करेक्ट
दॅट बींग सेड ह्यो सिच्युएशनांत थोडे पडी स्कॅनिंग बेबी एबनॉर्मल आसा म्हणून सांगला आनी डिलिव्हरी उपरांत पेशंट हॅज कंटिन्यू द प्रेग्नन्सी आनी द पेशंट हॅज कम टू बी बिकॉज दे नो आय डोंट टर्मिनेट
Correct.
आनी करताना बेबी इज टर्न आउट टू बी नॉर्मल ते जाला ओके दॅट इज हॅपन आनी इट्स व्हेरी आय मीन दे आर ब्लेस्ड इट्स लायक अ मिरेकल की
Correct.
तशें जाला म्हणून
ओके
बट टेस्टिंगाचे एनी टेस्ट वेदर इट इज अल्ट्रासाउंड आसूं दी ब्लड टेस्ट आसूं दी ताजे इतले पॉलिसीज असतात म्हळ्यार पर्संटेज सेन्सिटिव्हिटी म्हणटा आमी इन मेडिकल टर्म्स
ओके
एनी टेस्ट इज नॉट 100% सेन्सिटिव्ह
रायट
खंयच्याय टेस्टान तुका 100% गॅरंटी दिवंकूच जायना कोणूय दिवंक जायना खंयच्याय कंट्रींत आसूं दी सो आमी टेस्टिंग करतना आमी सकयल डिस्क्लेमर बरोवन आसता हे तुका 90% सेन्सिटिव्ह 95% सेन्सिटिव्ह आसा as compared to last few years आता इतल्या वर्सांनी नवे टेस्टिंग नवे स्कॅन मशीन्स नवे ब्लड टेस्ट आनी आयल्यात सो आमकां एक्युरसी इज बिकमिंग बेटर एंड बेटर 99.99% एक्युरसी म्हणसर आमकां मेबी नॉर्मल आसा की एबनॉर्मल आसा की म्हणून पळोवंक मेळटा 15 years बॅक थोडे पटी आमी डावन सिंड्रोम टेस्टिंग कर नॉर्मल जावन डिलिव्हरी जावन डावन सिंड्रोम जाल्लीं आसात and a lot of people are there like that who have received that suffering so तशें जाल्लें आसा बट दोज इन्सिडंट्स आतां मस्त उणी जाल्यात
ओके
त्या टायमार आमकां सडनली बेबी जल्मताना पळोवचें उणी जाल्यात सो वी डोंट गेट टू सी दॅट सडन सरप्रायजीस जाता मेळना कित्याक म्हणून आमचें टेस्टिंग तितलें एक्युरेट जालां
ओके
बट खंयचेय टेस्ट इज नेवर फूल प्रूफ आमी खंयचेय ब्लड टेस्ट बरयतना खंयचेय स्कॅनिंग बरयतना आतां आमची पेशंटां स्कॅनिंग करून येतात डॉक्टर पुरो नॉर्मल आसा न्ही म्हणटात वय सद्या वॉट आय नॉर्मली सेज एवरीथींग इज गूड फॉर नाव
ओके
लेट्स प्रे दॅट इट गोज ऑन लायक दॅट because there is no way of saying until the baby comes into our hands ki baby normal asagi na a lot of it is faith a lot of it is from the medical test so kanche test sache ata 100% guarantee na but I would suggest that agar koni scanning kele tanka kale abnormality asle baby to always do a little bit of higher testing before deciding on termination termination तुम्ही करा करनो जो हांव ते सांगिना कित्याक म्हळ्यार इट इज नॉट माय प्लेस टू से इट एक हांव एक बाप एक एबनॉर्मल ना जाल्यार इवन नॉट जस्ट anomalous baby म्हणून येता even if it is autism a mother or a father who is taking that तांकां मान गुत आसा तांणी काले कण घेते आसात म्हणून सो आमकां ते जज करून तुमी टर्मिनेट करनाका म्हणूंक जायना दॅट इज देयर पर्सनल डिसिजन बट इफ यू आर अ मदर आनी तुमी स्कॅनिंग करतना कांय तांकां ये एबनॉर्मलिटी स्कॅनिंगान दिसला जाल्यार टेक अनदर ओपिनियन एक सेकंड थर्ड ओपिनियन कन्फर्म करा सो इफ 2-3 people are scanning or 2-3 people are doing the blood test आता मेजॉरिटीन सांगलें की प्रॉब्लेम आसा देर इज अ हायर प्रॉबेबिलिटी ऑफ अ प्रॉब्लेम सो तुमी टेस्टिंग करतना काय म्हण एबनॉर्मल आयल्यार टेक अनदर ओपिनियन रिपीट अनदर टेस्ट सो तुमकां ते तितलें म्हळ्यार एटलीस्ट तुमकां एश्योरन्स मेळटा की आसा की ना की म्हण एक कळटा and then whether you're continuing it or terminating it again it's a very controversial thing
no it is up to them so we cannot
because
judge
I have seen in my personal life as well as in professional life people who've had babies who have tests have been normal babies have been abnormal or tests have been abnormal, babies have been normal. Or sudden things like autism cannot be prevented.
Correct.
आमकां आतां स्कॅनिंग आणि ब्लड टेस्ट कळना बट ऑटिस्टिक भुरगीं जातात एक पटी जातात 2 पटी जातात सो and the mothers who take that you know they have a different kind of strength they are actually angels in my this thing so तांकां I mean how can I tell them that you know तुम्ही टर्मिनेट करजे आसलेंगी करजे नातलेंगी वी कॅनॉट एडवाइज दॅट
इट इज नॉट आवर प्लेस
इट इज नॉट आवर प्लेस टू से या एक्झॅक्टली
सो तशें म्हणटा आसतना डॉक्टर तुमी म्हाका सांगलें आतां कोणाय म्हळ्यार एज अ पर्सन म्हळ्यार तुमी एक कॅथलीक जाल्या म्हळ्यार आमचे कॅथलीक फेथ काले म्हणटा एक लाईफ म्हणून सांगल्यार खंयच्या टायमार एक फर्टिलायझेशन जावन तो जाता त्या दळात तो एक लाईफ सुरू जाता म्हणून सांगून आनी तुमी एक कॅथलीक जावन तुमी फॉलो करतात जाल्यार तुमी टर्मिनेशनाचे खंयची केस आसा तुमी काणगिनात करनात म्हणून तुमी सांगले. सो आय रियली एप्रिशिएट फॉर दॅट म्हणून सांगल्यार हांव प्रो लायफ आनी बिलीव करता. बट एगेन हांव आमच्या प्रेक्षकांक सांगूंक कशें येता की आमी हांगासर कोणाकी ओपिनियन दिता येत ना देखून कोणाकी तुमचे डिसिशन हाचेर आमी इन्फ्लुएन्स हांगासर करता येत ना तांणी काल सोंसलां ती आमकां गोतना देखून डॉक्टर जावन दी हांगा हांव जावन दी आमी कोणाकी हांगासर जज करता येत ना जस्ट आमी हांगासर ओपिनियन आमचे दिवन आसा. सो डॉक्टर तुमी अशें म्हणटा आसतना प्रेग्नन्सी कॉम्प्लिकेशनांत आमी हाचे विशीं उलयल्या म्हळ्यार एबनॉर्मलिटीजा विशीं उलयल्या हांव आनी हें परत जाता आसतना आतां अनेक सांगचें जाल्यार तुमी ऑटिझमा विशयान म्हाका सांगलें तें खंयसरी आमकां तें फायंड आउट करूंक जायना एपटी भुरगें जल्मल्या उपरांत मात्र आमकां कळटा म्हणून. आनी देर आर सर्टन सिट्युएशन म्हळ्यार थोडे फावटी भुरग्याची एबनॉर्मलिटी आसता म्हणून सांगल्यार भुरग्याचो करेक्ट ग्रोथ आसना गे भुरग्याचे हार्ट म्हळ्यार भितरच आसतना कांय आसता. बट आतां फिटल मेडिसीन इतलें एडवान्स जालां गे यू कॅन ट्रीट सम कंडिशन्स वेन द बेबी इज इन द वूम. सो कसले पुरो प्रॉब्लेम्स गर्भांत आसतना म्हणून सांगल्यार फिटल मेडिसिनान कसले पुरो प्रॉब्लेम ट्रीट करयेत आणि ते कशें करतात हाचे विशीं म्हाका इल्लें नॉलेज दितात डॉक्टर.
सो अगेन fetal medicine world over मस्त मुखार गेला.
Correct.
And in the US, Greece, and there are certain centers which do fetoscopic surgery. So uterus भितर आमी baby woman असताना surgery करचे, all those things. In India, we are of course we are advanced. Not that we are not, but आमी तितले मुखार वचोना. Maybe there are certain centers, एक दोन selective centers आसूंक पुरो surgeries करचे. But fetoscopic surgery in Mangalore as such, I don't think any center is doing actively. आमी करना. Maybe probably in Bombay, Bangalore, there are certain places where these are done. And also fetoscopic surgery ka mustu preparation, counseling तशें बरें जायचें पडटा because surgery करून आमकां सक्सेस जाता की ना की we don't know. But certain medical conditions baby पोटांत आसतना ट्रीट करचें बरें जाता. For example, if there is a thyroid, हांव एक थायरॉयडाची प्रॉब्लेम आसून बेबी इकॉनॉमीचे थायरॉयड प्रॉब्लेम्स येतात एकेका बेबीजांक. सो ते आमी मेडिकली ट्रीट करियेत. बेबीक हार्टाचे प्रॉब्लेम आसा जाल्यार ते हांव एक मेडिसीन दिवन हार्टाचे आमी रिदमाचे प्रॉब्लेम ते ट्रीट करियेत. सो देर आर लॉट ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. सो देर fetoscopic surgery and this fetoscopic medicine. आता थोडे पटी काल जाता हांव हेचे ब्लड ग्रुप नेगेटिव्ह आसो न्हू
रायट
बेबी फादराचे ब्लड ग्रुप पॉझिटिव्ह आसो न्हू बेबीक
पॉझिटिव्ह आसता
एनिमिया स्टार्ट जाता बिकॉज द ब्लड ग्रुप्स बेबी इज ऑल्सो पॉझिटिव्ह लायक द मदर इज नेगेटिव्ह बेबी इज पॉझिटिव्ह. सो एनिमिया म्हणून जाता फिटल एनिमिया
म्हणजे बॉडी रिजेक्ट करता त्या
फिटल
भुरग्याक.
एनिमियाक आमी कालें करता युट्रसा भितरल्या आसल्यार बेबीक ब्लड ट्रान्सफ्युजन दिता. It is called intrauterine transfusion.
Okay.
These are being done in a lot of centers now, much more. In Father-Mullers, we do at least 1 or 2 every week.
Okay.
Intrauterine transfusion. That is a kind of intrauterine therapy. So baby by दोनचे पहिले आमी ते transfusion दिता. So as compared to 10 years back, ते आमी करते नातल्या.
Okay.
Just हांव एक आमी medicine दिवचे आणि baby क ते पावता म्हणून believe करचे.
Okay.
But right now we are doing surgery. We are doing those transfusions and those kind of procedures.
Okay. सो आता तुम्ही म्हाका सांगले एक इम्पॉर्टंट टॉपिक तुम्ही टच केले म्हळ्यार आवय नेगेटिव्ह ब्लड ग्रुप आसता म्हळ्यार RH नेगेटिव्ह आमी म्हणटा बापाय पॉझिटिव्ह आसता आणि फिटस म्हणून सांगल्यार भुरगें पॉझिटिव्ह आसता. अर्ली संदर्भांनी काल जाता की म्हणून सांगल्यार आवय कडेन ते एंटीजन्स नान जाल्ल्यान ते रिजेक्ट करचे चान्सी आसता. सो अर्ली संदर्भार भुरगें जावच्या पयल्यांत ब्लड टेस्ट आनी पुरो करचे कळले गरजेचे. एखाद्या वेळार तूं बेबी प्लॅन करनासय जाल्यार म्हळ्यार काजल जालां बेबी प्लॅन करताय जाल्यार कळले पुरो प्री टेस्ट करचे म्हळ्यार आतां सडावत अवेलेबल आसा जेनेटिक टेस्टिंग आनी पुरो पयल्यांत करतात फॅमिली ट्री आनी पुरो करना ते पुरो फायंड आउट करचे जाल्यार पुरो करनासत. सो एखाद्या वेळार अ कॉमन पर्सन आता म्हळ्यार आमी म्हळ्यार नॉर्मल पर्सन आमकां ताचे विशयी गोत्तो ना एखाद्या वेळार तूं भुरगें प्लॅन करता जाल्यार हकले न्हवऱ्यान वा घोवा बायलेन कळले पुरो टेस्ट करन कशें तांणी प्रिपेर करयेत हेल्दी प्रेग्नन्सीक हाचे विशीं म्हाका सांगतात गे मॅम.
सो अगेन ब्लड टेस्ट आनी पुरो आसा बट हांव प्रायम इम्पॉर्टन्स दिता लायफस्टायलाक. सो इफ समबडी इज प्लॅनिंग अ बेबी द हजबंड एंड वायफ दोगांयनी बरें हेल्दी लायफस्टायल मेंटेन करचें बिकॉज प्री कन्सेप्शनल मेंटल एंड फिजिकल हेल्थ will determine what kind of a baby you have.
Correct.
So physical activity, eating healthy, alcohol, smoking, cutting down on these things are very important. Forming a exercise which is a part of your routine. So that exercise karche bari, healthy zone che bari. That would be one of the prime things to do in the pre-conception period.
Correct.
This on if you think about medical tests, I think general like basic health checkups. And health checkup just pregnancy exam planning akmunne. Everyone should do once in 2 or 3 years. So basic health checkup which includes for the women in particular thyroid, sugars, and we have a lot of young men who are diabetics who don't know they're diabetics.
Right.
They come for checkup only when they're planning on a pregnancy.
Correct.
So तशे sugars, thyroid, endocrine problems, hypertension check करचे ते पुरो प्री कन्सेप्शनली चेक करनो प्री कन्सेप्शनिंग काय आसा जाल्यार कंट्रोल करचे बिफोर प्रेग्नन्सी कंट्रोल करचे मस्त बरें. वन इज दॅट. दुसरे आमी एडवायस दिता डेंटल वर्कअप. सो दांताचे न्ही कांय काम आसा जाल्यार बिफोर प्लॅनिंग प्रेग्नन्सी ते करीचे कित्याक म्हणजे वन्स यू गेट प्रेग्नंट यू शूड आयडियली नॉट डू too much of dental work unless it is an emergency.
Correct.
And of course healthy lifestyle things like blood group and all would come as a part of the a health checkup. And family तशे काय genetic problem आसा जाल्यार, so there are these things called thalassemia and sickle cell anemia आणि पुरा आसा जाल्यार blood test करणं. So what happens is थोडे जाणांक genes असतात but disease असना. So आता म्हाका anemia आसा, हांव म्हजी blood test करून म्हाका thalassemia चे gene आसा की check करता. म्हाका आसा जाल्यार हस्बंडाचे gene check करता. दोगांयक आसा जाल्यार then I go for genetic counseling की म्हणजे pregnancy तर आसचे chance आसा.
करेक्ट आवय बापूय दोगांय आसा म्हणटा.
आणि एक प्रेग्नन्सी जाल्यार बेबीक टेस्ट करचे आमकां ते opportunity asa. So all those things can be done. So doing a basic health checkup and then like you said going back to your family tree and seeing family genetic problem asagi, family anomalous babies asagi, family Down syndrome asagi, family thalassemia asagi. They pura check karno, you can test and then plan on a pregnancy. This is so that you can have a healthy baby, a healthy pregnancy, a well planned pregnancy. आमकां ते pregnancy गेलो उपरांत surprise मेळना. ओ म्हाका हें आसलें, ओ म्हाका तें आसलें. So a lot of people come. आमी टेस्टिंग केलो उपरांत pregnancy कळटा. And then it becomes too late and also a little uncomfortable. Correct. So plan करूंक इतले testing करणं, genetic test for thalassemia, blood group, all those can be done.
Okay. सो आता थोडी पिढी काय जाता की म्हणून सांगल्यार आता हॉर्मोनल प्रॉब्लेम्स जाल्यार तुम्ही सांगल्यार थायरॉइड आसता वा थोड्यांक PCOS आसता आनी तले पर आसतना कन्सेप्शन इल्लें लेट जाता म्हणजे तांकां भुरगीं करूंक म्हळ्यार भुरगीं जावंक जाय दे आर इन द रायट एज ऑल्सो बट देर आर सम फिजिकल कॉम्प्लिकेशन्स सच एज थायरॉइड वा हॉर्मोनल इम्बॅलन्स आनी पुरो अर्ली आसता आसतना टू प्लॅन अ बेबी नॅचरली इल्लेशें कस जाता सो तल्या टायमार एखाद्या वेळार मेडिकेशन आतां एप्रोच करेचें जाल्यार आनी कळ्ळें पुरो म्हळ्यार टेस्ट करचें पडटा आनी कळ्ळें पुरो मेडिसिन खाणोत आनी कशें लायक दे कॅन प्लॅन फॉर अ प्रेग्नन्सी सो तल्यांक तुमी खाली सांगूंक कशें येतात मॅम.
So PCOS and thyroid is very, very common, like you said. And after COVID, it's become much more.
Correct.
Especially after COVID, actually stress asundi or work from home जाऊन excessive eating, exercise करना सा weight gain जाऊंदी. So these are offshoots of those. त्या problem आता ये problem start झाला. So PCOS and thyroid are like almost like I said, the elephant in the building. सगळ्यांकी गुत्त आसा, सगळ्यांकी almost सगळ्यांकी आसा, but different levels of awareness म्हणून येता. So the first and foremost thing is when somebody most जण आता काय करतात because we have Google. आमच्याकडे scanning access आसा. Scan करन येताना doctor I've been diagnosed with PCOD म्हणतात. So that is something that really pains me because आम्ही आमचे बॉडीक डायग्नोज करूंक ट्राय करता बट ते प्रॉब्लेम कायला कायला म्हणून आम्ही पळोवंक वचना. रायट. सो आय टेल दिस टू माय पेशंट्स इफ समबडी इज वॉचिंग दिस दे वूड से ओके शी स्टार्टेड अगेन. कायला म्हळ्यार PCOD आणि थायरॉइड युजली ऑफकोर्स थायरॉइडाची जेनेटिक कॉम्पोनंट आसा बट PCOD मोर ऑर सो PCOS is not a disease. It is a lifestyle problem. So they येऊनचे because of food, sleep, stress आणि exercise आता because of these problems. So that has to be handled by lifestyle changes. So testing करीजे आम्ही medication कान घेचे but lifestyle changes are very very important. Maintaining healthy amount of exercise, healthy food जेऊनचे, junk food खाऊनचे ना, doing your regular checkups. Sleep is very very important, Leeza, and I think most of us, maybe even you and me to a certain extent, sleep also skip जाता. So 8 hours of undisturbed sleep. Melchi zana most होणी आसात. And the other bigger thing is stress. So stress, some people say I'm not stressed. But actually, even the smallest things in life do stress us out. Correct. So practicing things like meditation, yoga, and of course PCOD aka test asata, medication hi asata. But a lot of people should understand ki PCOD ka final treatment kanche ina. Correct. Because there is a lifestyle problem. Lifestyle correct karta mansura, the things will keep going on. Right. So medicines आम्ही दिता. आता थोडे जण बसतो acne आसा, तांकां acne clear करूंक आम्ही medicine दिता. थोडे जणांक period जायना, तर pregnancy try करते आसात. So periods regular जावंक आम्ही medicine दिता. So for the symptoms of PCOD, you visit the doctor, you will get your medicines. But you must understand that medicine आता treatment जायना. Lifestyle changes are very very important. Correct. And थोडी जण आता आमकां trend पळोवंक मेळटा आसा लिजा that पयले इल्ली hefty जणांक PCOD आसा म्हणून आमकां कळटलें. So obese PCOD. आता lean PCOD म्हळ्यार बारीक असल्यांकी hormone imbalance start जाते आसा. Right. That is mainly connected to stress and sleep. So बारीक असल्यांकी PCOD जावचे chance आसा. So that awareness is required. आणि sleep आणि stress correct करचे मस्त importance आसा.
Okay. So living healthy and happy is always important. घरांत आमकां समाधान रावलें जाल्यार if at all we create a happy families, definitely आमचे stress मस्त उणें जावन बरें कणखाण घेत म्हणलें आमची अभिप्राय. सो हांव तें येता आसतना डॉक्टर आय वॉन्ट टू म्हळ्यार तुमचें एक ओपिनियन म्हळ्यार हांगासर एक पर्सनल ओपिनियन म्हळ्यार बरें हांव विचारता. सेक्स एज्युकेशन टू द चिल्ड्रन आतां इंडियान ती जाल्यार सडावत आमच्या इस्कॉलांनी सेक्स एज्युकेशन म्हणून स्टार्ट केलां. तुमचे कडेन एक इन्सिडेंट हांव शेअर करूंक आशें येता, आमच्या व्ह्युअर्स कडेन शेअर करूंक आशें येता. सडावत आमच्या कुटुंबांनी जावं दी आमच्या फॅमिलीन जावं दी आमी आमच्या प्रायवेट पार्ट्सांक आमी म्हळ्यार आमी हात पाय दोळे पुरो सांगता बट प्रायवेट पार्ट्स म्हणटाना आमी इल्लेशें लज येता. पीनस वजेना हे पुरो आमी उलोवंक म्हळ्यार ते टर्म्स आमी यूज करतना आसा पण आमकां कलिगी एक लज आसता. देखून आमी काय करता ल्हान भुरग्यांक आमी सांगता आसतना तांच्या प्रायवेट पार्टाक आमी दुसरें दुसरें नांव दिता. सो एक इन्सिडेंट हांवें वाचलें एक इन्सिडेंट हांगासर शेअर करूंक अशें येता. आवय बापायन त्या भुरग्याक म्हळ्यार एक चेडूं भुरगें आसलें त्या आवय बापायन त्या भुरग्याक वाजयना म्हणून शिकोवच्या बदला कुक्की म्हणून शिकयलें तुजी कुक्की म्हणून सांगलें सो हें भुरगें सदां इस्कालाक येतालें टिचरीक गोत्तना टिचरी कडेन सांगतालें म्हजो अंकल म्हजी कुक्की खाता म्हणून सो टिचरी कडेन सांगून म्हळ्यार केदाळे सॅड आसतलें भुरगें सो शी वॉज ट्रायंग टू टेल दॅट शी इज सेक्शुअली एब्युज्ड बट टिचरी कडल्यातलें खालें गे म्हणून सांगल्यार कुक्की म्हणटा खालें टिचर चिंताली ताका खाली बिस्कीट दिला त्याच्या कोणी जसो अंकल चोरन खाता म्हणल्या खातीर ना पुता कांय वारी करनाका कुक्की दिला आमी शेअर करनात खावं शेअरिंग इज केअरिंग म्हणल्यार बरी टिचरीन ताका सांगूंक सुरू केलें सो दिस थिंग वॉज नेवर रिवील्ड म्हळ्यार कोणाकय कळना एक दीस पीटीए मिटिंगाक येताना आवय म्हळ्यार होम ओपन हावस मिटिंगाक येताना आवय टिचर सांगता तुमी ताका सदां कुक्की दितात कित्याक अंकल कोणी खाण खाता काय आनी ते केदाळे सॅड आसता स्कुलांत हांवें ताचे कडेन मस्त उलोवंक ट्राय केलें म्हजो अंकल म्हजी कुक्की खाण खाता आनी कोणाय कडेन सांगून नजो न्ही म्हणून सांगलां हें खालें गे म्हणून सांगता नंतर ते इन्सिडेंट उजवाडाक येता आनी ते आवय सांगता की ना आमी अशें शिकयलें म्हणून सो सेक्स एज्युकेशन करेक्ट भुरग्यांक शिकोवचें कितलें इम्पॉर्टंट तुमच्या प्रमाणे खंयच्या एजीचेर आमी भुरग्यां कडेन मुक्त उलोवंक स्टार्ट करीचें आनी कशें तांकां ताचे विशयी दिवचें म्हणून एज अ गायनोकॉलॉजिस्ट तुमी कालें सांगूंक कशें येतात मॅम
First of all, I'm really shocked at your story. It's really sad. But most zata tashe. It's very much common. Not just as a gynecologist, but as a mother.
Right.
A mother of two girls. I can strongly feel for that mom who would have had to hear this in the parent-teacher meeting. Sex education, Vishanta Mustu, I mean, even when I'm with my friends, I sort of like make it a point to tell them. So it is something that is there in my mind and all is a part of me from before. And it doesn't have to be in school.
Correct.
So that is the first thing. आमी सेक्सा विशयन उलयतना गुड टच बॅड टचा विशयन उलयतना प्रायवेट पार्ट्सा विशयन उलयतना आमी आमच्या भुरग्यांक घरांतूनच सांगिचें पडटा
करेक्ट
इट्स नॉट जस्ट द मदर्स जॉब
येस
that is another thing. It's not just happen, doesn't have to happen in school, doesn't have to happen only with the mothers. आमी ते घरांतूनच सांगिचें and it has to start early.
Right.
Especially if we're talking about private parts and talking about a good touch, bad touch. I mean, laan burgyank, the moment we put our kid out of the house, when they put him in play school, त्या time आमी सांगूंक सुरू करीचे.
Correct.
We have to make them understand की कोणी आमची body is like our temple or is like our church. We should not allow anyone to touch it. It is our holy place.
Right.
ते concept आमी आमच्या भुरग्यांच्या माथ्याक घालीचे.
Correct.
कोणी आमकां टच करून गेल्यार नाजाल्यार कोणी आमकां हार्म करून गेल्यार आमकां अनकम्फर्टेबल फील जाल्यार आमी इमिडिएटली सांगिचें
Okay.
कोणी आमकां सांगिनाका म्हळ्यार 100% आमी येवन सांगिचें
Right.
सो आय मीन इन चिल्ड्रन थोडे पडी ते हॅबीट आसता आमी तुमी सांगिनाका म्हळ्यार तांणी येवन सांगतात मे बी इन अ वे दिस इज एक्चुअली अ गुड थिंग
Good thing.
सो
Correct.
ते आमी आवय बापूय जावन आमच्या भुरग्यांक सांगिचें आमी एक्सपेक्ट करनो जोगी आनी अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल एक्सपेक्ट की तांणी इस्कालाक वेताना टिचरान सांगून दितात आमी कालाक सांगिचें दॅट इज अ रॉंग कॉन्सेप्ट
Correct.
आनी हे मे बी द वेस्ट इज आमचे तावन इल्लेशे अहेड इन दीस पर्टिक्युलर थिंग की तांणी तांच्या भुरग्यांक ल्हानतानूच ट्रेन करतात ल्हानतानूच सांगतात
Right.
की युअर बॉडी इज युअर टेम्पल इज युअर holy place and no one should touch it.
Correct.
And domestic abuse happens a lot.
Right.
The most amount of sexual abuse to children happens by people who are known to them.
Family.
And all of us know this. It
Correct.
happens by people who are related to them.
Correct.
And especially in joint families or where there are a lot of people gara bitar bayar vetata could even be domestic helps.
Correct.
And it is something that all of us know but nobody wants to sort of like acknowledge.
Correct.
So educating children from a very small age is very important about good touch, bad touch, about maintaining the sanctity of your body and not allowing anybody to abuse you.
Correct.
Because you don't deserve that abuse.
Correct.
That is the first thing. The second thing is educating children about menstruation and about sex.
Correct.
These two things are again maybe everything else I feel India is ahead. This we're still a little behind.
Correct.
We're moving ahead but आमी आनी केल्ले पाटी आसा. So आमची भुरगीं I think girls as early as 8-9 even for the boys आमी ते starting by 8-9 we should start telling them.
Correct.
कित्याक म्हळ्यार now our girls are getting their periods early.
Correct.
Body is maturing early.
Correct.
Breast development जावन 2 years 3 years भितर period जाता.
Correct.
आनी breast development जावंक सुरू जाताना the mind also changes.
Correct.
These concepts about भुरगीं आसतना आमी चेडे चेडवां एकत्र वी आर प्लेइंग वी आर फ्रेंड्स when we hit 9 10 13 puberty जाताना I am a girl he is a boy.
Correct.
That difference starts. So the difference भुरग्याच्या मोतीक घेवनचे पयलेंत आमी ते एक्सप्लेन करूंक स्टार्ट केल्यार they will not be shocked.
Correct.
की म्हाका काल जाते आसा why do I feel funny when I look at that boy.
Right.
So ते कॉन्सेप्ट आमी इल्लेशे स्टार्टिंग आतां सांगूंक सुरू करीचे. Another very important thing लिझान म्हज्या फ्रेंड्सांक सांगचे की आमी बायल मनशां जावन आमी चेडवांक सांगिचें म्हणून कांय ना चेडांकी सांगिचें पडटा.
Correct.
सो इवन मदर्स ऑफ बॉयज have to know that आमी आमचे चेड्यांक कितें सांगिचें.
Right.
थोडे पडी काल जाता I have a lot of friends who are not medical people ने ताणे जो म्हाका चेडे म्हाका ते एक सांगूंक ना पिरियड विशयान सांगूंक ना.
Right.
But that's not true. You have to tell your boys because चेड्यांक आमी बायल मनशाक रेस्पेक्ट दिवंक शिकयचें जाल्यार ल्हान प्रायतानूच शिकयचें.
Correct.
सो तांकां ते शिकयचें की पिरियड्स आर नॉट डर्टी.
Right.
एक पिरियड टायमार आमी चेडवाक अनटचेबल करचें पयस दवरचें दॅट शूड नॉट बी देर. सो ते ऑल द मदर्स ऑफ बॉयज तांकां आमी सांगेचे की चेडांकी तितलेंच एज्युकेशनाची गरज आसा अबाउट मेन्स्ट्रुएशन एंड अबाउट सेक्स एज मच एज द गर्ल्स हॅव. And that's really, really important.
Yes.
Another thing is sex education. So
Correct.
sex education we don't talk about. The S word is not spoken.
Right.
The P word is not spoken because it is a taboo.
Correct.
आमचे culture तशें जावन आयला. It may be good, it may be bad. There may be reasons why आमी ते openly उलयना. But I think it's time to talk.
Right.
कित्याक म्हळ्यार I'll tell you one thing, Leeza, the number of unplanned, unintended pregnancies येतात. If I had to, like I said, I don't do abortions and terminations. But the number of patients who approach me for this every day, patients don't know that I
Teen
don't do it.
pregnancies.
Teen pregnancies or unmarried pregnancies, unplanned pregnancies, college students. Itli jana yetat gi I cannot even tell you. Like if I had to maintain a register, my book would be over in a week.
Correct.
So tashe jata. So people don't know. I mean, sex is not a taboo. It is probably a physiological function of the human body.
Right.
But taka time asa, place asa, person asa.
Correct.
And there are things like STDs, HIV.
Correct.
All those things people don't know. Cervical cancer spreads ata. Te lokang guttuna.
Correct.
So children don't know because why they don't know? It's not being spoken about.
Right.
Even the best of schools have this term called sex education, but they don't really talk about that.
Right.
And I will not name the schools, but I know that the sex education classes muntata. Menstrual hygiene classes muntata, but what is spoken in those classes is nothing to do with sex education or with menstruation.
Correct.
So I think in our times, I don't know how it was when you were in school, but I think most of us got to know. My mom was a midwife, but she was still very, very shy to talk
Right.
to me about periods.
Right.
And I know that it's difficult for someone who's not in the medical field.
Right.
So how did we get to know? We got to know through our friends.
Correct.
We got to know what the S word meant through our friends.
Secret reading.
Secret reading.
Correct.
And all that. So they are also. We should
Right.
get to know from home. We should get to know from the right source.
Correct.
So I tell schools and people who have doctors as parents of the students in their schools, call your doctor parents to come
Correct.
and talk to the kids.
Correct.
Because that makes so much more sense. एक medical person तुमका ते education दिता ना, ताजे value मस्त सट्टा. Rather than a lay person talking about
Correct.
that.
सो ह्या टॉपिकार म्हाका मस्त तेमता हांव चिंती म्हळ्यार आमी ह्या विशयांत ओपनली उलोवंक ट्राय करता आनी ओपन उलोवण्या ती म्हळ्यार ओपन कॉन्वर्सेशन आमी काले म्हणटा आनी वल्गॅरिटी उलोवच्या देर इज अ लॉट ऑफ अ डिफरन्स अँड वी शूड अंडरस्टँड द डिफरन्स देखून भुरग्यां कडेन सेक्स एज्युकेशना विशयान उलोवचें तांकां तांच्या कुडी विशयान सांगचें वा आमी ते सेक्स वर्ड वा ते आमचे सेक्शुअलिटी विशयान उलोवचें हे पाड न्हय आका वल्गॅरिटी म्हणून आमी सांगिना कित्याक ह्या दिसांनी डॉक्टरान सांगल्या प्रमाणे आमच्या भुरग्यांक सेक्शुअल क्युरियोसिटी ते 12-13 वर्सां म्हणल्यार तांचे ते प्युबर्टी ती सुरू जाता आसतना सेक्शुअल क्युरियोसिटी हर एक भुरग्याक ते येता कित्याक हॉर्मोन्स दरम्यान हे चलता आनीक वी वे फॉर्च्युनेट आमच्या पेरंट्स आमकां इल्लेशें म्हळ्यार ओपन टॉक्स आमच्या घरांनी आसलें जाल्यार आमकां बट सगळ्यांनी असलें जायना देखून एखाद्या वेळार तुमकां तुमच्या भुरग्यांक हाचे विशयी उलोवंक जायना जाल्यार आमच्या फिल्डान एक्सपर्ट आसा डॉक्टर येतली आनी डॉक्टर जॉयलीन चडावत ती कॉन्सल्टेशन काण घेता आनी ह्या विशयांत भुरग्यांक सांगचें जाल्यार सुमार ती करनासा देखून दया करून एखाद्या वेळार तुमकां तुमच्या भुरग्यां कडेन उलोवंक समज जायना जाल्यार डॉक्टरां कडेन आपोवन व्हरनो आसा आमच्या समाजांत कावन्सिलर्स आसात म्हळ्यार कावन्सिलर म्हळ्यार खंयच्याय नमूनेचे कावन्सिलर्स न्ही देर आर रेप्युटेड पीपल देर आर क्वॉलिफायड पीपल हाचे विशयी उलोवचेली मनशां आमच्या सोसायटींत आसात देखून तुमच्या भुरग्यांक ल्हानपणांतावन खंयचें बरें खंयचें वायट आनीक असले पुरो संगती आमच्या कुटुंबांनी मुक्त उलोवण्याक आमी वल्गॅरिटीनी हांव पयल्यान सांगता वल्गॅरिटी विशयान आमी हांगा सांगिनात सेक्स एज्युकेशन इज नॉट वल्गॅरिटी देखून दया करून अर्ले उलोवणें भुरग्यांक मुखार सांगून भुरग्यांक जागृत करची चान्स आमी मुस्त गरज आसा कित्याक ह्या दिसांनी आमच्या चलयांचेर ल्हान भुरग्यांचेर समेत अत्याचार चलतात आसात पॉर्न वा आमचे काले म्हणटात पॉर्नोग्राफी आनी पळोवन भुरग्यांक ते जावं दी वडां ते जावं दी आमच्या थॉट्स मुस्त पाड जाते आसात देखून त्या खातीर पॉर्न इज व्हेरी बॅड कित्याक म्हणटा तें पुरो स्क्रिप्टेड जाल्ल्यान तें पळोवन सेक्स म्हळ्यार अशेंच आसता म्हणल्यार ताले एक वायट चिंता पेंवनी सबार काजारां पाड जाल्ली सुमार इन्सिडेंट्स हे आसात देखून ह्या एका मिडिया मुखांतर हांव डॉक्टराक सांगता हांव तुमचे कडेन सांगचें कितें म्हणून सांगल्यार करेक्ट मनशांतून इन्फॉर्मेशन काण घेया कित्याक म्हळ्यार गूगल करतात पण गूगलांतून खंयच्या वेबसायटाक येतात सेल्फ मेडिकेशन काण घेतात हाचे वरवीं पाड जाल्लें तर चड आसा देखून खंयचेय गूगलाक करा बरें इम्पॉर्टंट तूं मेळटा ना म्हणून हांव सांगिना पूण खंयच्या सोर्साक तुमी वेतात कोणातून तुमी इन्फॉर्मेशन काण घेता ते इल्लेशें जागृतकाय सांबाळ्ळें जाल्यार आमची जिणी आमी बरे करून काण घेत आतां हांवें तुमचे कडेन एक सवाल विचारचें जाल्यार सेल्फ मेडिकेशन ओवर द काउंटर मेडिकेशन इंडियांत तुमकां प्रिस्क्रिप्शन जाय जें म्हणून ना आतां इतलें म्हळ्यार मेडिकल म्हळ्यार फार्मसीज हॅव बिकम अ बिझनेस नाव म्हळ्यार पयलीं जाल्यार काय जातालें डॉक्टरचे प्रिस्क्रिप्शना वयर बेज जावन मेडिसीन दिताले बट आतां खंयचीय मेडिसीन जावन दी ओवर द काउंटर जावन दी वा बॅक डोर येतावन म्हळ्यार इल्लीगल मेडिसीन समेत वचून आसात सो ॲज अ गायनॉकॉलॉजिस्ट एक प्रेग्नंट असताना आम्ही सांगतो सडावत खंयची मेडिसिनी काणू नजो विदाउट डॉक्टर प्रिस्क्रिप्शन म्हणून सांगून पण जाल्यार आतां पिरियड्सा वेळार आनी पुरा थोडे पुढे पेन सोसूंक जायनासतना डॉक्टरान केदाळागी सांगली एक टॅबलेट आसता ते म्हळ्यार ते पेन मॅनेजमेंटा खातीर काणून आसतात. सो ॲज अ डॉक्टर we have told many times self medication is very harmful, but as a doctor self medication आतां काले प्रॉब्लेम म्हळ्यार तुमी काही म्हणी केस सेल्फ मेडिकेशन आतां प्रॉब्लेम जाले केसेस तुमी काही म्हणी आयकल्यात की वा तुमच्या लायफान काही म्हणी एक्सपिरियन्स केल्यात की आनी सेल्फ मेडिकेशन कितलें पाड हाचे विशयान म्हाका कितें सांगतात डॉक्टर.
So self-medication is bad. सगळ्यांकी गुड तसा. But of course all of us do that. आमकां ताप आयल्यार डोलो काण घेवचें, गॅस्ट्रीक असल्यार पॅन टॅबलेट काण घेवची.
Correct.
With no strings attached, I'm saying. So ते पण आमचें आसता. But it's very very important की because we have आमी इतले वर्सां मेडिसिन शिकता. So we know as doctors or as healthcare professionals.
Correct.
आमकां गुड तसा मेडिसिनाचे सायड इफेक्ट, long term effects आनी पुरा.
Correct.
In gynecology especially I see a lot of people abusing hormones. थोडी जाणां स्किन बरें जावंक हॉर्मोन्स काण घेतात. डॉक्टरान 3 months बरोवन दिल्यार 1 year काण गेलीं आसात. One very very bad medication, I don't know if the company people will come and sue me after this podcast, but is the eye pill.
Right.
And every day I tell at least 2 people, please eye pill काण घेनाकात. Okay, abortion करा म्हणून आमी हांव सांगिना, that's not my thing, but eye pill is one horrible medication which is available very much over the counter.
Correct.
And most जाणां because of lack of knowledge, not that तांकां तें करूंक जाय, because of lack of knowledge चिंतात की eye pill is like contraception. So eye pill is not contraception. Eye pill is an emergency plan B pill that is very much advocated in the West, where teenage pregnancies are very very common. So तांकां ते avoid करूंक, okay, if you accidentally have intercourse then you take the eye pill, you will not get pregnant.
Correct.
But every day, Leeza, I see side effects with the eye pill. I see people having ectopic pregnancies. I see people having baby pregnancies continuing and babies having problems because of the eye pill. So eye pill is one medication that I feel is very much over the counter prescribed, over the counter used. And I'm sure we've heard about the group called Moms of Mangalore, which is a very popular group, and there are a lot of people who put up queries on that.
Right.
So tantu we ame osu pudi padela ki log kisarta, and that is because information na, and there is some word going around ki ye medication kan dile pare asa. So the Moms of Mangalore gives a lot of a positive information on that as well. So
correct.
If I happen to see a comment ambore tanki ye medication kan so please consult your doctor. So any medication which is beyond paracetamol and something for gastritis, even those can have side effects.
Right.
You may have heard that there are people who take Dolo and they develop allergy.
Correct.
Which is very rare.
Correct.
But so anything with prescription, so when you take a prescription from the doctor, काय जाता ते doctor तुमका कितले तुमचे body weight आणि तुमचे symptoms कितले dose आहे तितले बरे येता.
Dosage is very important.
JOYLENE, if you have a reaction to that medicine, the doctor will be able to treat it.
Correct.
So that is the importance. आता हम काल say जाता तो, and I have a lot of patients who message me. I do send a couple of medicines on WhatsApp because थोडी जाणां पयस रावतात, तांकां ट्रॅव्हल करूंक जायना, आतां पावस आसा, so it's dangerous to travel. So third party, out of those concerns, I do message my patients take this tablet and all that, but that is still wrong. It doesn't happen in the West. US and UK, you have to meet the doctor, you have to pay your bill, call up, and only then you will call. Correct. So there is a reason. Safety issues anka te rules आणि ते implement केले आता. आमचे because of our larger population we cannot. So coming back to the point, any kind of self prescription is wrong. Things like vitamins also, it's always good. आम्ही डॉक्टरा consult करणं कान गेल्यारच बरें.
कित्याक म्हणल्यार वायटमिन्स तुमी म्हणटा न्हय म्हाका हें जाता कित्याक म्हळ्यार आमकां कळ्ळें डेफिशियन्सी आसा म्हणून गोत्तो ना बिकॉज समटायम्स काय जाता कॅल्शियम एक्सेस जाल्यार इट कॅन लीड टू किडनी स्टोन्स ऑर सम अदर थिंग्स कॅल्सिफिकेशना खातीर वेता वा विटामीन डी एक्सेस जाल्यार खंयचेंय जावं दी अति आद्रे अमृत विशा म्हणून सांगतात टू मच इज टू बॅड सो देखून खंयचेंय मेडिकेशन खाणोवचे पयले दया करून तुम्ही सेल्फ डॉक्टर जायनाका तो गूगल कर मेडिसिन काणगे नाका कित्याक म्हणल्यार एक मेडिसिन डॉक्टर तुमकां प्रिस्क्रायब करता जाल्यार कितले टेस्टां ती करतात जागृताय सांबाळटात आनी देर आर सो मेनी अदर थिंग्स म्हळ्यार एक मेडिसिन खाणोवचे पयले दुसरे संगती ती पळोवंक आसा ते डॉक्टर्स MBBS करचे 4 वर्सां बेस्टे न्हय ते मुस्त तांकां शिकोवंक आसता देखून ताचे वयर बेस जावन ती काण घेतात जाल्यार सेल्फ मेडिकेशन करूंक वचनाका एज अ म्हळ्यार हेल्थ केअर प्रॅक्टिशनर म्हळ्यार आमी नॅचरल थेरपी आसा जाल्यार मेडिसिन्स गरज नासतना खाणोवचे खंयच्या की बरें न्ही देखून कणी तुमकां मल्टीविटामीन जावन दी हें खाण घेया तें खाण घेया म्हणटात जाल्यार डॉक्टरां कडेन विचारल्या शिवाय कन्सल्ट केल्या शिवाय तुमच्या बॉडी विशयी तुमकां समजल्या शिवाय खाणाक वचनाकात डॉक्टर न्ही उलयतना म्हाका सांगलें हे WhatsApp ग्रुप्स सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स हे आमचे फेसबुकार आनी सुमार ग्रुप्स असतात इन अ वे दे आर देअर फॉर सम हेल्प म्हळ्यार एकामेका सपोर्ट करचे खातीर ते आसात पूण थोडे कडेन हांवें थोडे क्वेरीज पळयल्यात आसतना चडावत खाली ते हेल्थचे क्वेश्चन आनी पुरा घालता आसतना थोड्यांनी सजेशन दिवन रॉंग सजेशन दिल्ले आसतात म्हळ्यार चडावत काय जाता एडमिनाक बऱ्या उद्देशान आतां तांणी ते ग्रुप्स तांणी स्टार्ट केल्यात पूण काल जाता गे म्हणून सांगल्यार हर एक पुटी हर एक मॉनिटर करूंक म्हळ्यार क्वेरीज इतले आसतात पोस्ट इतले आसतात हर एक एडमिनाक मॉनिटर करूंक जायनातल्या वेळार सबार कडेन रॉंग सजेशन्स वा रॉंग कावन्सिलिंगाचे सजेशन जावं दी मेडिसिनाचे सजेशन जावं दी गेल्ले आसात. सो एखाद्या वेळार कसलीय प्रॉब्लेम आसत जाल्यार मनशांनी ते म्हळ्यार थिंग घालून दिता कित्याक म्हळ्यार इल्लेशें नॉलेज मेळचे खातीर. बट हे ग्रुप्स कितले सेफ आनी थंय वचून क्वेरी काडूची कितली सेफ इन्स्टेड ऑफ कमिंग टू अ डॉक्टर ताचे विशयांत तुमची अभिप्राय खाले.
So I completely agree with you. Most groups asat. Internet has just opened up the world.
करेक्ट.
The good thing about these small groups or self-help groups or kanche Facebook groups asandi is that there are a lot of women who don't have an outlet.
Correct.
Most jana asat ata me and you are very fortunate. Amka bayro song melta, we
Right.
meet people, amka shikong melta, आम्ही वाचता, internet पळयता. But थोडी जाणां closed groups anta, थोडे countries anta आनी भितर आसून तांकां तितले outlet ना. So this becomes a way of for them to live their life.
Correct.
तांकां ते तांचे लायफ आनी काले प्रॉब्लेम आसा शेअर करूंक एक आउटलेट मेळटा. In those ways, those help groups or those Facebook groups are doing good.
Right.
They're giving a reason to live for somebody who has a very close and a very small life. Tanka ileshe outlet meltya.
Correct.
And they feel good. So they're giving them a feel good feeling. But at the same time, like you said, a lot of unnecessary and unwarranted information also comes on the groups. You know, there are a lot of these आता थोडे मेडिकल आम्ही यूज करतले इंस्ट्रुमेंट्स नाजाल्यार आमी देर आर सम कॉपर टीज ऑर सम मेरेना सो सर्टन थिंग्स दॅट वी यूज आमी ते मेडिकली यूज करता पेशंटाक. बट आय नो आय वॉज सरप्राइज टू सी की ताजे एंटी ग्रुप्स आसात फेसबुकार. लेट्स से आय एम यूजिंग अ मेडिकेटेड IUCD which is called as a Mirena. A lot of people use it. A lot of people prescribe it as well. Anti Mirena groups asat. So there are people, there are hundreds of people who say don't use Mirena, it is bad.
Correct.
So they are not medical people. They are
Correct.
just people who are, you know, maybe don't like it for some reason.
Right.
Or they may be people who are against the company, some medical propaganda.
Correct.
So tashe montana self-help groups have a responsibility, but like you said, it's difficult for people to monitor this. So the people who are using the help from the group should understand to take the good and leave behind the bad.
Correct.
That is the most important thing. A lot of unwanted information goes. There have been people who have had a lot of harm because of unnecessary information ऐकून वाचून एक्सेप्ट करणं हार्म जाल्ली मनशां आसात. सो खंयची इन्फॉर्मेशन आमी काण घेया बट वी हॅव टू चेक की इज इट क्रेडिबल ते करेक्ट आसा की ना ब्लायंडली आमी ते इन्फॉर्मेशन घेताले फॉलो करणं जो दॅट्स 100% डेंजर.
आनी स्पेशली मेडिकल एडवायस काण घेत आसतना कित्याक म्हण सांगल्यार थोडे कडेन काले आसात थोडी नर्स म्हळ्यार हांव कोणाकी पाड म्हूण सांगतात ना थोडी मेडिकल प्रोफेशनल आसा म्हणल्यार बरी दाखयतात ह्या ग्रुपांनी येतात कोणाचे म्हळ्यार ते पोस्ट वाचतात तांकां ते निजवून काही तांकां काम म्हणटा ना ते पोस्टाक तांकां कसली नॉलेज ना काही येना बट तांची एक ओपिनियन आसा जे म्हणल्या खातीर ते घालतात आनी हाचेतून मिसलीड जाल्ली सुमार आसा देखून दया करून आमच्या व्ह्युअर्स लागीं हांवें इसाचें इतलें तुमी त्या ग्रुपांनी आनी पुरो घालता आसतना खंयचेय तुमकां कॉमेंट्स येतात जाल्यार दया करून इल्ली जागृत काय सांबाळा आनी त्या ग्रुपान कोणी कॉमेंट करता आसतना कोणे त्या फिल्डांत एक्सपर्ट आसात तांणी कोणी कमेंट केला जाल्यार काण घेया. एखाद्या वेळार तुमकां खंय वचून वाट कळना जाल्यार डॉक्टरान तरी सुमार मनशां आमच्या सोसायटींत आसात एज्युकेटेड मनशां आसात. फेसबुकार आतां आमी आसा आमचे आमी आसा देखून दया करून आमचे कडेन तल्यांक डॉक्टर तल्यांक मेसेज केलें कित्याक डॉक्टर केदाळे हांवें मुस्तुपडी ताका पयलीं हांव दुबय आसतना फेसबुकार मेसेज केल्ल्या वेळार तिणें म्हाका रिप्लाय केला देखून कोण नॉलेजेबल आसा तर तांकां एप्रोच करा. त्या करून कोणाय तो सक्कडी आयकून सक्कडी पळोवन सक्कडी कन्ज्यूम करून जिवीत पाडकन काण घेनाकात इल्ली जागृतकाय सांबाळा म्हूण सांगून ह्या मुखार आमी सांगूंक आशेता. ओके डॉक्टर आतां हांवें नेक्स्ट टॉपिकाक येवचें जाल्यार इल्लो कॉन्ट्रोवर्शियल टॉपीक म्हूण येता. आतां कॅथोलीक फेथांत आमकां सांगतात कॉन्ट्रसेप्शन इज रॉंग म्हूण सांगतात नॅचरल फॅमिली प्लॅनिंग फॉलो करचें म्हूण सांगतात. बट करंट सिट्युएशन आमी पळयतना आतांच्या टायमार हॉर्मोन्स वेरिएशन जावन पिरियड्स समज नॉर्मल जायनात आनी अर्ले पुरो टायमार नॅचरल फॅमिली प्लॅनिंग फॉलो करचें तितलें सुद्दां लाभायचें न्ही. सो हाचे विशयी तुमचें एक ओपिनियन आसाचें जाल्यार नॅचरल फॅमिली प्लॅनिंग कोणें पुरा करी येता आनीक तें करी जाल्यार कळ्ळें पुरो म्हळ्यार थोडे पडी काल जाता 6 months कंटिन्युअस पिरियड्स नॉर्मल आसल्यार मात्र तें वर्क जाता. पूण आतांच्या सिट्युएशनार नॉर्मल पिरियड्स 3 म्हयने जाले 4 म्हयने तितले करेक्ट 30 डेजाक 28 डेजाक सायकल असचें बारी उणें. सो अर्ले टायमार नॅचरल फॅमिली प्लॅनिंग कितलें सेफ कॉन्ट्रसेप्शनाच्या विशयांत आमच्या लोकांक कळ्ळें पुरो रॉंग मिसकन्सेप्शन्स आसात हाचे विशयान म्हाका कितें सांगतात गी डॉक्टर.
So natural family planning methods आमची टेक्स्टबुकांत आसा and we study about it आणि like you said very correctly the natural family planning methods can be followed कोणाक regular periods जाते आसात. That is full stop. That is the main and the most important prerequisite.
Correct.
कोणाक regularly 28 to 30 day cycle जाता पिरियडाचे फ्लो समा आसा तांणी overweight नांत regular body weight अंत आसात they can follow natural family planning. The problem is इतले पुरो criteria fulfill करची जाणां उणी आसात. Most people have irregular periods. A lot of people have PCOD. So तांकां पुरो natural family planning methods तांणी follow करी येता. But with medical advice would be to use an additional contraceptive method always. कित्याक म्हळ्यार exclusive using natural family planning method, checking the vaginal discharge or checking the body temperature or counting the days will not work for them. आनी त्या नॉमेचे आमी सदांय एवरी डे आय सी accidental pregnancies, I see ectopic pregnancies, and patients because of lack of knowledge or because of belief purely natural family planning method follow करून तशें जाता. I'm not against it. Follow करी येतं, especially if you have religious beliefs. But एक background on मोती आसा जे की it can fail. Because medically and by statistics, failure rates of natural family planning methods are more than using additional contraceptives.
Correct.
And how I look at it is, pregnancy जावन एक जीव काडच्या की मागीर it is better to take precautions.
Precautions are better
Because
than correct.
sex is a physiological function. It bodyचे function ते. So ते आमी avoid करनाका करनो म्हणचे बरी ना. It is like saying don't eat, don't breathe. And anybody who has basic understanding तांकां ते understand जाता.
Correct.
So rather than pregnancy जावन accidental pregnancy जावन ते terminate करनो जीव काडच्या की it is good to use precautions. And एका मेथडाचे एक सक्सेस रेट उणें आसा जाल्यार additional methods, for example barrier methods, IUCDs, can be used and should be used because rather than becoming accidentally pregnant.
Correct.
Another important thing that we spoke about a little earlier was STDs. So आता आमी two people like meet with each other, but कोणाक गुत्तू ना की काले पिडा आसा. आता आमी सगळ्यांक कपल जावन आनी पुरा HIV टेस्टिंग, हेपेटायटिस टेस्टिंग करूंक वचना. So contraception use करतना एक additional protection against STD मेळटा, especially in the use of condoms and things like that. So STD testing aki using contraception will help. Okay. So anybody who is having intercourse before before marriage or whatever reasons, again that's a controversial topic. Okay. Because it should be done at the right time with the right person. Correct. But तशें आसा जाल्यार तांकां प्रेग्नन्सीचे रिस्क आसा, STDs जावचे रिस्क आसा, म्हळ्यार sexually transmitted diseases जावचे रिस्क आसा, along with that even cancer. Correct. So repeated intercourse with multiple partners and not supervised जाताना, correct, it will be there's a higher risk of cancer as well also. Right.
Correct. तुम्ही सांगताना म्हाका एक सांगलें डॉक्टर आता करेक्ट पिरियड्स म्हणून सांगून पिरियड फ्लो म्हणून तुम्ही सांगलें तर सडावत काम जाता सगळ्यांचो पिरियड फ्लो इट्स डिफरंट. थोड्यांक हेवी ब्लिडिंग आसता, थोड्यांक इल्लेशें लो ब्लिडिंग आसता, थोड्यांक स्कॅन्टी म्हणून सांगल्यार जस्ट स्पॉटिंग मात्र आसता. सो करेक्ट ब्लिडिंग म्हणून सांगल्यार काले म्हळ्यार कितले म्हळ्यार करेक्ट मेन्स्ट्रुअल फ्लो म्हणून सांगल्यार काले आनी हॉर्मोनाचे हाचे वयर कशें हें आसता इम्पॅक्ट आसता हाचे विशयान म्हाका कितें नॉलेज दिता डॉक्टर. म्हळ्यार पिरियड सुद्दां पुढे करेक्ट आसा टायमा टायमा पिरियड जाता बट द पिरियड फ्लो करेक्ट पिरियड फ्लो जावचे मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट म्हणल्यार सबार जाणांक हाचे विशयी नॉलेज ना. सो ताचे विशयी म्हाका नॉलेज दितली डॉक्टर.
So normal menstrual cycle is usually anywhere between 20 to 30 days. सगळ्यांक गुत्त आसा की 20 to 30 days एक पिरियड जायचे. Correct. But for a normal individual, reproductive age असल्यांक 25 to 35 days cycle is allowed. Okay. Okay. The only problem is आता एक लाख या मंथान 15 days period झाले, next month 20 days period झाले, ताजे वयले मंथ 40 days period झाले, परतन 28 days period झाले. So if the period pattern is changing every month, that's not a good sign. Correct. थोडी जाणां आसा तांकां 2 months एक पती मार पिरियड जावचे. That is normal for them. Okay. See, all of us have a clock, LEEZA. आमच्या बॉडीन एक क्लॉक आसा. And everybody's clock is different. Correct. That is why everybody's cycle pattern is different. Correct. Everybody's period flow is also different. So based on that, so roughly in medical terms 25 to 35 day cycle is okay. आता थोडी जाणां येतात म्हाका यापुढे 30 days झाले. It's okay. It doesn't really matter because cycleचे duration depends upon sleep, depends upon food, depends upon journey केलेगी, काले म्हणजे स्ट्रेस असलेंगी, एग्जाम्स असलेगी, एक्सरसाइज चड केलेंगी, उणें केलेंगी, डिपेंड्स ऑन दॅट. सो अ पिरियड पॅटर्न बिटवीन 25 to 35 days is normal. And in a year you are allowed to skip or have 3 irregular periods. Okay. For us, for normal in a normal lifestyle, एक वर्साक 3 पुडी पिरियड येशी दिशी जाल्यार it's okay, it's allowed. But ताचे की चड जाल्यार you need to get the test done. ते एक. Second is flow. Flow we as in medical terms we say 7 days of bleeding and 80 ml. 80 is ml. A cutoff. 80 ml and 7 days of bleeding is a cutoff. तशें म्हणून थोडी जाणां आसात 3 days bleeding जाता, but they change more than, if they're using sanitary napkins, they change more than 8 pads or 10 pads per day. That is still more. Even though it is not 7 days and it is not 80 ml because clots asata, it is still more. Okay. So it is very subjective. But by the rough rule, if anybody bleeds more than 7 days, if anybody bleeds once in 15 days, if anybody passes a lot of clots or changes more than 5 pads per day, it is heavy. This is by a rough rule. So you would know ki maka regular periods ate asa, but suddenly maka heavy zalen zalaro, this is heavy. So these are the 4 things: more than 7 days, more than 80 ml, big passage of clots, too frequent bleeding. 15 days a bitter portan period zalaro, or more than 5 pads per day. Roughly 4, but more than 5 pads per day. Fully soaked pads zalaro, bleeding is heavy.
Okay. So what about scanty periods? म्हणून सांगला थोड्यांक bleeding तो मस्त उणे जाता. Is that also a concern, doctor?
Yes, so if you've been having regular flow and suddenly flow une zana zalar, any change from the regular means your body is adjusting to something. I tell patients there's an alarm signal. Body tuka sangte asa ki kalange change zala. It happens when students have exams. It happens when suddenly gym joins on heavy workout karung so it happens. So either way, flow sorry zabe tu ne zabe ta. Une flow is called hypomenorrhea. If the third flow, it is called heavy menstrual bleeding. So hypomenorrhea as such we treat karna because if you try to increase the bleeding, sometimes the bleeding will continue and not stop.
Correct.
But recognize kareji kalangi change asa, kalangi difference asa. I would stress more on regularity of your periods. Periods time ag jaije. If your body clock says 30-day cycle is normal for you, 30 days you should get it. If you're getting it here and there, then again something has to change. Your food has to change, exercise has to change. Check your thyroid, or check your food eating patterns.
Correct.
So changes kari jaye. So it is a decreased flow is not a problem unless तुका normal flows जाते हैं आणि suddenly flow decrease झाला.
ओके. सो थर्ड टायमार देखून सडावत आमी इल्लेशे अलर्ट रावून आमच्या बॉडी विशयान इल्लेशे जागृतकाय सांबाळली जाल्यार आमच्या बॉडीन कालीय चेंजेस जाले जाल्यार आमकां सोदून काडूंक सुलाभ जाता. आनी एक या दोन फावटी जाल्यार इट्स ओके, बट कंटिन्युअसली तुमच्या बॉडीन कालीय चेंजेस जावन लॉंग टर्म म्हाका सडन वेट गेन, सडन वेट लॉस वा एपटायट लॉस वा सडन तुमच्या बॉडीन ड्रास्टीक चेंजेस जावन आसा जाल्यार दयाकन वगेत बसा नाकात. एक डॉक्टर कशें वचून तुमी टेस्ट करून काडून बरें म्हण सांगून आमी या म्हाका सांगूं कशें येता. आतांचो टायम इंस्टाग्रामाचो टायम, सोशल मिडिया रिल्साचो टायम. सो मेनी इन्फ्लुएन्सर्स आमचे सोशल मिडिया इन्फ्लुएन्सर्स कोण आसात वा थोडे प्रोफेशनल्सांनी पुरा येवन व्हिडिओ करून रिल्स करून घालनंत असतात म्हणून सांगल्यार तांचे प्रॉफिट मेकिंगाचे एक हें आसता आनी एक इन्फ्लुएन्सर्स म्हणल्यार बरी. आनी हे इन्फ्लुएन्सर्स कालें करतात म्हणल्यार लॉट ऑफ मेडिकल एडवायस ह्या व्हिडिओ दरम्यान वचून आसा. आता ह्या मेडिकल एडवायस दरम्यान काम जाता थोडे पुटी एक सिरीज म्हणून आसता, म्हळ्यार एका सिरीजान 4-5 व्हिडिओ करून आसतात आनी एक दुसरी इन्फॉर्मेशन दिवन आसतात. पूण आमकां मेळटना काम जाता आमकां खंय एक व्हिडिओ मात्र मेळटा, तांतली इन्फॉर्मेशन मात्र मेळटा. थोडी म्हणटात जिंजर ज्यूस पिया तुमचे आंखणी क्लियर जातात, तें पिया तुमचे वेट लॉस जाता. आनी आमच्या लोकांक कितें वेट लॉसाचे विशय म्हळ्यार आतां खावची इल्लें चड जावन वेट चड जाल्या पूण वेट लॉस करचे एक पिशे सुरू जावन अर्ले पुरो मुस्त ज्यूसच नाका जाल्यार पुरो पियोन भलायकी पाड करून काडून गेले सुमार एग्जाम्पल आसात. सो अर्ले पुरो व्हिडिओच्या विशयांत कली जागृतकाय काडण्याचे अर्ले व्हिडिओ पळयतना आमी कलें पुरो करीचे म्हणल्या विशयान तुमचे एक ओपिनियन दिवचे जाल्यार कालें म्हणटात.
So actually, I mean, social media influencers, reels करताली, probably the intention is good.
Okay.
की ते म्हळ्यार खंयच्याय विशयान तांणी convicted आसा जाल्यार they want to spread the message. But reels पळयताले लोक, the people who are receiving that information, तांणी इल्लेशे prudence use करचे पडटा. So if something is recommended, like a shake or something is recommended, it's good to go back and see ताका कितले medical data backup आसा. Studies, literally journals and published on the studies केल्यात गे त्या particular issue विशयान. So before starting something, do a little bit of research.
Correct.
Always good to go back to a medical person and then check again ki ye harmful asagi bore asagi nangi man.
Correct.
This happens to me a lot, especially with PCOD, LEEZA. PCOD ka ta nomne che, even starting from ek taraf algae, some kind of fungus, different things are grown and that powders karni ek khaviyet thing khaviyet muntat.
Correct.
So I don't know how many of these things work because a lot of this I boring kalam maybe from ancient traditional home medicine, plant medicine ante naila, and it's not that plant medicines don't work.
Correct.
But hareka body hareka medicine suit जायना.
Correct.
People are allergic, like I said, to the smallest of things.
Correct.
So आता आम कंचे नो में कान गेला मुझे बॉडी तक एलर्जी जाता गी नागी, मुझे बॉडी तक हार्म जाता गी नागी मागा गुत्तना.
Correct.
So always good that when you see something, before instead of rather than getting convinced at face value, ते पळोवन तो ये म्हाका बरें हांव हे करता मुंच्याक, go back and do a little bit of research.
Correct.
And find out की ताका studies आसात गी, काय data आसा गी, ते बरें आसा गी नागी सांगोंक. That is one. The second thing is consult a medical professional or somebody who knows extensively on that topic.
Correct.
It could be a nutritionist or somebody who has done food science research. You can ask somebody like that for good information on whether that particular hack or particular shake or particular juice is good for you or not.
So डॉक्टर तुम्ही सुमार आज बरेपण आमचे कडेन सांगला वस्तू विशय आमी उलयलो. सो ह्या एंडाच्या सेगमेंटाक येता आसतना इफ एट ऑल यू वॉन्ट टू गिव अ मेसेज एज अ डॉक्टर, एज अ मदर, एज अ सोसायटीन एक मनीस जावन तुमी आमच्या विक्षकांक कांय सांगूंक कशें जाल्यार वॉट मेसेज यू वॉन्ट टू गिव एट द एंड?
As a doctor, probably I would start and I would say that for medical students, for people who are studying, who are preparing to become doctors, I know it's important कि आता काले आमका available आसा ते आमी choose करीजे. But whatever you do, you should love your job. You should, and I know this is a very cliche term. People keep saying it. You have to be very passionate. Muntat. But आमका don't get into a field where you are not happy.
Correct.
आता आमका happiness ना जाला, we can never be good at it, and this is a very fundamental thing that everybody knows.
Correct.
As a mother, and I already said this, it's very important to communicate to your children. मेक श्योर दॅट यू डोंट प्रेशरायज युअर चिल्ड्रन की म्हाका हें मेळो ना हांवें हें करूं ना म्हजी भुरग्यांनी करीचें. इट इज अ इनबिल्ट थिंग इन इंडियन मॉम्स और इंडियन फादर्स that आमी करनातले पुरा म्हज्या भुरग्यांनी करीचें म्हणून. So that's something that our child should be a reflection of us, but should not our shadow should not fall on our child and cover our child.
Correct.
So आमच्या भुरग्यां आमी कालें बरें करता तें आमच्या भुरग्यांनी पिक करीचें. But it's not important की आमी कालें बरो करूं तें पुरा आमच्या भुरग्यांनी करीचें. त्या लेवलाचें प्रेशर खंयचे नंबरचें प्रेशर आमी आमच्या भुरग्यां वरून घालनो जो. And communicating as a mother, I feel that is one of the most important things that we need.
Okay.
As a human, as somebody that I meet people every day.
Correct.
I would say that our life goal should be one thing. We have to balance in every way. Balance as a mother, balance as a doctor, balance as a human. But we have to balance between ambition. आता म्हाका कालिंगी जाय. I want to be very good at it. म्हाका म्हजें काम बरें करीचें. म्हजी सर्जरी सक्सेसफुल जायचें. So I have that ambition. But along with that ambition, I have to balance the small things in life.
Correct.
Other the small things in life would be, spending some 5 minutes with my parents.
Correct.
As they're getting older, or spending 5 minutes or 10 minutes with my child, creating something with them, or traveling, taking a bus ride, something like that. So small things, balance out your ambition with the small but the very important things in life.
Correct.
I think like you mentioned earlier, आमी इतले फास्ट धांवता की आमकां लायफान ल्हान वस्तू सुकूनच
सुकूनच
येतात
वतात, correct.
and we don't realize it. So
Correct.
spend some time with your friends,
Correct.
call up a friend, say hi, wish somebody for their birthday,
Correct.
or do something nice. Show that gratitude. Show that by being humble you can still achieve a lot in life. So ते gratitude दाखयतना आमकां ते तितले the blessings चड मेळटात.
Correct.
So maintaining that balance between our ambition and the small things in life, I think that is something that I would want like everyone to sort of आमच्या लायफाचे सेंटर पॉयंट तें दवरल्यार न्ही लिझा.
Correct.
That makes things very easy.
ओके डॉक्टर, तुम्ही एक बरी मेसेज दिल्या, सबार बरी नॉलेज तुम्ही आमच्या व्ह्युअर्सांक दिल्या. थोडे टॉपिक्स आमी हांगा आपुडलेले तुमकां बरें लागोनात म्हूण सांगून जावंक पुरो, कित्याक म्हणल्यार आमची मेंटॅलिटी तशी आसा. बट आमी मुक्त कॉन्वर्सेशनांत वा ओपन कन्वर्सेशन आमी बिलीव करतना जाल्ल्यान थोड्यांक थोडी लज आसता, डॉक्टरांकडे वचूंक लज दिसता वा कोणा कडेन सांगूंक लज दिवचे, थोडे टॉपिक आमी हांगा उलयल्या. देखून दया करून कोणी ऑफेन्सिव्ह फील करचें नाका. देखून डॉक्टर जॉयलेन, तुम्ही आज हांगासर बिझी शेड्युलामध्ये, कित्याक ते स्टुडिओ पे त्यालाच आमचे फोनार उलोवन आसले, देखून मस्त कॉलां येवन आसात. पण जाल्यारय तितल्या बिझी शेड्युलामध्ये आमच्या खातीर तिने टायम सॅक्रिफायस करते हांगासर आयल्या. सो एगेन आमच्या सर वीक्षकातर्फे आमच्या टीमा तर्फे तुमकां हांव देव बरें करूं म्हणटा आसतना, द प्लेस वी आर सिटींग इज इन्फंजेजस श्राइन. तो बाळोक जेजू तुमच्या कुटुंबाचे दाराळ बेसांव वतून दित. तुमची सेवा तुम्ही येदोळ सुमार जाणांक दिल्या, मुखारी सुमार जाणांक तुमची सेवा मेळचे भाग आमकां मेळोन दी म्हणून वाशेत आसतना तो बाळोक जेजू तुम्ही आशिल्ल्या मागले पुरो दिवन तुमची जिणी बरी करून दी म्हणून ह्या मुखाद्रा वाशेता. सो थँक्यू अगेन. तर मोगाचे वीक्षकांनो, आयचो एपिसोड तुमकां खंडीत जावन बरो लागतलो म्हणून हांव पाती येता. ह्या एपिसोडान तुमकां कालें बरें लागलें, कालें बरें लागोना, कालें बरें करीत आसलें आनी खंडीत जावन तुमकां आणखी मस्त सवालां तुमच्या मोतीन आसतलीं म्हणून म्हाका गोत आसा. देखून डॉक्टर जॉयलिनाची डिटेल्स आमी डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्सार घालना आसता. पूण दया करून एक विनंती हांव करता, डॉक्टरची डिस्क्रिप्शन वा तांचे नंबर आमी दिला म्हणल्या खातीर तांकां घडये घडये फोन करना, बेश्टें तरी तांकां उपाद्री दिवची तुमी करनाका. तुमचें कन्सर्न आसा, खंडीत जावन तांकां फोन करा, तांचे अपॉइंटमेंट काडून तांकां वचून तुमी मेळा. तर आयचो एपिसोड कसो जालो खंडीत जावन आमकां बरोवन तिळसिया, कालें बरें लागोना तें आमकां सांगा. बऱ्या रितीन आमकां फीडबॅक दिलें जाल्यार मुखले एपिसोड बरें करूंक आमकां हेल्प जातलें. कार्मेल किरणाक सबस्क्राईब करा, कार्मेल कॅफे पळोवन रावा. येवच्या हप्त्यांत परत अनेक बरो टॉपिक काडून बऱ्या सैर सांगात हांगासर हांव आसतली. तवळ पर्यंत मेस्तांक देव बरें करूं.